What up, though? What up, though? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for episode 26 of Uncomfy Truths. I have my esteemed podcast colleague, conspiracy brother, in the building. We also have two special guests here at Uncomfy Truths. We definitely like to make sure we get different, diverse thoughts, not just kind of the woke DEI diverse. We talking about like black folks that could have more than one opinion that Democrats approve of. So we have a friend of mine, Militant Sistah, coming in the building, and we also have another friend of mine, guest, None Dare Call It Conspiracy, who runs a great YouTube channel that talks about a lot of national news as well as Detroit based things going on in the political space. So I'm your co-host, Conservative Brother Daily, and I just want to, say a quick what up to everybody. How's everybody doing out there?
I'm fine.
Hey, all right, back at it. All right, Detroit repping heavy today. I love it. So if you want, I know Militant Sistah, you're going to be able to be with us for maybe the first, next 30 minutes or so. But if you wanted to first kind of introduce yourself, or maybe just say a little bit about who you are, kind of, where you kind of fall on the political spectrum, and what you like to talk about with the audience.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. I have been looking forward to it. So I'd like to certainly preference any statements that I make with the fact that I'm neither left wing, right wing, uh, and just for the sake of our discussion, I'd have to say politically I'm more of an independent.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like to preface everything that I say by quoting Malcolm X. I know this is a conservative and liberal debate, but one thing that I still speaks to me uh, almost 50, 60 years later is when Malcolm X said, and I'm going to quote, obviously the terminology is different now, but the white conservative aren't the friends of the Negro either, but they at least don't try to hide it. They are like wolves. They show their teeth in a snarl that keeps the Negro always aware of where he stands with them. But the white liberals are foxes who also show their teeth to the Negro, but pretend that they are smiling. The white liberals are more dangerous than the conservatives as they lure the Negro. And as the Negro runs from the glowing wolf, he flees into the open jaws of the smiling fox. And I guess that's going to be the preface to everything that I say.
Bet. I love it. I love the authenticness to it. And yeah, definitely, like I said, while we may not agree with all aspects of all stances at the same time, like Malcolm X kind of being that Northern Star for not only black folks, but there's a lot of things going on in America. I think it's very ideal that we have these discussions. And it's, falls all across the spectrum. So None Dare Call It Conspiracy. It's great to see you. Great to have you here. If you wanted to just kind of introduce yourself real quick before we get into the first topic, feel free. The floor is yours.
Okay. I am basically an independent. I vote for the policy, not the people. What's best for America? What's best for us as black folk? That's how I vote as far as policy. So I would say I'm more or less an independent too. Militant Sistah, I love that. I love Malcolm X. That was a great intro. That was really good. But I'm 58 years old, and I started on this journey when I was 17, 1983. My mother gave me a book called Pawns in the Game by William Guy Carr when I was 17. And at that time, there wasn't computers or anything like that. So I literally had to go to the library to get the rare books of Albert Pike and Manly Hall and all that. So I started, and it was a section at Detroit Public Library, rare books. And I would go and I would spend my weekends there just researching. But William Guy Carr, they did unalive him. And that was my journey on this. Was not a conspiracy anymore. It's actually reality of the documents that were found in Moravia. Ooh, I think it was like the 1800s, 1700s, whatever time it was, and every point that tenant, based on the Illuminati or whatever, the elite, whatever, globalist, whatever, cabal, whatever you want to say it is, those tenets have now come to pass. I've watched it in real time. So I've been on this journey almost 40 years. And, now it's just mind boggling to me that it's really a reality. So that's a little bit about myself.
All right. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right, y'all. What I want to do is let's dive right into the first topic. I know, Militant Sistah, you got a little bit of a time limit. So once again, here at Uncomfy Truths, we're currently on Rumble. We live stream on Rumble, YouTube, and Odyssey. So feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share the show. We're going to be doing a little self plugs. Got a little, text scrolling in the chat, scrolling below on the screen. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. And then I'm gonna let Militant Sistah get her first word in. We got to talk, y'all, the Trump conviction. So, Conspiracy Brother, if you can go ahead and give me the screen share capability. Everybody talking about it. Everybody feel a type of way. So we definitely got to dive into it. All right. So once again, the Trump conviction. For the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and click on a very basic. Yeah, I'm going to just click on AP News, even though AP News tends to skew very kind of left of center. We'll just throw up a very basic article, and then I'm going to get everybody's opinion on it. All right, so this comes from Associated Press. Donald Trump became the first former American president to be convicted of felony crimes Thursday as a New York jury found him guilty of all 34 charges in a scheme to illegally influence the 2016 election through a hush money payment to a porn star who said the two had sex. Trump sat stone-faced while the verdict was read, as cheering from the street below could be heard in the hallway of the courtroom's 15th floor, where the decision was revealed after more than 9 hours of deliberations. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial, and angry Trump told reporters after leaving the courtroom. Real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. They know what happened. Everyone knows what happened here. Judge Juan Merchan set sentencing for July 11th, just days after the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, where GOP leaders who remain resolute in their support in the aftermath of the verdict are expected to formally make their nominee. The verdict is a stunning legal reckoning for Trump and exposes him to potential prison time in the city, where his manipulations of the tabloid press helped catapult him from a real estate tycoon to reality television star and ultimately president. As he seeks to reclaim the White House in this year's election, the judgment presents voters with another test of their willingness to accept Trump's boundary-breaking behavior. All right, y'all, love AP. Short and to the point. All right, so this is our fire starter topic. I'd like to go ahead and pass the ball to Militant Sistah. You go ahead and get it all out. Give us your take on this, and then Nundir, Conspiracy, you're next, and then Conspiracy Brother. But Militant Sistah, floor is yours. What's your thoughts?
Well, to me, this speaks of. I'll just compare it to a queenless beehive, where when the queen is killed or gone, the roar from the drones becomes so loud that all you hear is that in unison. And I believe that the GOP has just become so indoctrinated to just defend everything, wrong or right, that Trump may have or have not done. So if we believe in the justice system, what is the problem with a group of regular American citizens supposedly passing down the guilty verdict? Supposedly, in theory, they listened to the evidence and they convicted him. What is the hype? Is he not subject to the laws that every single one of us is? Is he not subject to that?
That's interesting take. Okay. None dare call it conspiracy. I got a lot to say. I know conspiracy brother, you do too. But we want to give the ladies, our sister soldier ladies, a crack at it first, since you guys are special guests. So none dare. Floor is yours.
Okay, well, I watched the whole trial. Um, First off, they violated the First Amendment and the Sixth Amendment, and this is why I tell even my son to read the Constitution so you know your rights. They did violate his constitutional rights. One of free speech by putting a gag order on him, while Michael Cohen admitted on the stand of stealing money from Trump. He lost his law license. He went to jail for perjury. He is a known liar. While he's on TikTok making money and promoting his new book and his new show, The Fixer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, um, the judge donated money to a organization. Wasn't much money. He should have recused himself, but he donated money to a anti-Trump organization. I forgot the name of it, but you could look that up. Also, the judge's daughter is raising millions of dollars, and what's that guy named Jeffrey? Anyway, a lot of Democrats have donated money to her organization. She has raised millions of dollars. He should have recused himself. This is the third case that he has prosecuted. Why him? Why Marshawn? Also, I'm just saying, if this could happen to Trump, we don't stand a chance, which we never have stood a chance in the legal system unless you have some money anyway. If these charges will definitely go away in appeal, I do think they're gonna lock him up. I really do.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
I really do. I really think that he'll be sitting in Rikers for a few days, if a day. But that'll be something to see with how they do the Secret Service. You know. Last thing I want to say: the $130,000 he put on as a legal expense. That's what this whole thing is about. $130,000 that he put on as a legal expense. And yes, I do like Trump. I do. Because one thing about it, two things for sure. At least he tell you where he's standing, and you can respect that. I just think it's a shame. I really do. Because the next thing is there's nothing else left to do to him but unalive him, and he'll be a martyr. Because that's what they doing. They making him bigger than what he would have been. And there's no way that this decrepit, senile, all time, and I'm not making fun of anybody that has that. What this man has done to this country, because it's my country as well. I am an American Indian, because I'm on the Downs Road, but that's another topic for another day. With this migrant crisis, they just let in 6 people off the terror watch list the other day. That just came up. What he has done to this country is awful. You can't afford gas, you can't afford food. I'm trying to retire, and I'm working 2 jobs now because of Bionomics, and I make good damn money. But what this man has done is disgraceful. It's awful. But again, based on the tenets that I said earlier, Babylon got to fall. America's done. It's over, and that's it. That's all.
That's it. That's all. The clock on the wall. All right, great. I'm loving the different perspectives. I feel like, we could have a little bit of back and forth. A few quick things, conspiracy brother, before I get to you. I definitely want to just say on the side of this hush money case, the fact that not only what you guys mentioned, Michael Cohen, he's been a convicted perjurer and all the things he's done.
Oh, wait. I gotta say one more thing that I just remembered.
Oh yeah.
Also, the last thing is they wouldn't even let the defense two things. They wouldn't even let the defense present their witnesses.
Yep.
Where do they do that at? I'm just saying. Lastly, not only that, oh God, it was one more point. It just slipped my mind, but I know you're gonna say it.
Okay.
Dang, they wouldn't let him present the witnesses. And then every time the defense went to do a rebuttal, the judge would just crush him, stop him. He sustained. He sided with the prosecution on every level. It is no doubt that this judge was biased. Oh, I remember. Also, the jury instructions was 55 pages. And in there, in a court of law, the verdict is supposed to be done unanimously by 12 jurors.
Yeah, I was about to get to
I
that.
just knew that it was going to be a hung jury. Now, in the paperwork, this is why I know it's going to be overturned. They know that this is going to be overturned. He told the jurors they only needed 4.
Yep.
4
On multiple counts, on different counts. They
on
were
counts.
saying
That's
stuff
why,
like,
because there's no way, because normally with 34 counts, well, he's not guilty on this, but he's guilty on that. They only needed 4. That is totally against.
Exactly. They're picking and choosing. They're turning these 34 counts into like an a la carte buffet, if you will. Oh, I think 4 of us agree he's guilty on this, or 5 of us think he's guilty on that one, and then only 3. So that's exactly what's happened. It's a pre Jim Crow tactic they used to use, pre Jim Crow, where if there was like a black juror pre 1950s that ended up getting seated on an all white juror, they'll do those in place to where the minority jurors get bullied or basically their voice is shut out because the majority white jurors, or whatever it is, shut them out. That's a pre-Jim Crow tactic they were using. Unprecedented.
And it's going to be overturned, and they know it. They know it. And at this point, these people really need to be disbarred and that. But then on the other flip side, well, welcome to being black in America, just like what you said. Now you get to see what we've been going through.
Exactly. And Conspiracy Brother, also, I'd like to get your thoughts. Because once again, this trial, this case, once again, this is a Frankenstein of a misdemeanor that expired. It was past the statute of limitations 7 years ago. They could have started prosecuting him for this as soon as he got into office, or fall 2016. And at the same time, the other Southern District in NYC didn't want the case. They didn't bring the case up. The FEC didn't bring up this case to prosecute him in 2016 because it was so weak. Alvin Bragg himself 7 years ago rejected the case. And now 7 years later, when we had Obama, who got caught 2013, it came out, you can look up the articles, where he got caught mishandling $1.9 million in donor funds. $1.9 million in donor funds, and the FEC just gave him a fine. Yet we have Trump that gets upgraded to a misdemeanor and becomes a felony. Well, how is that equal justice? How is that nobody is above the law? And you got Obama getting away with something like that. You got Hillary getting away with the emails. But yeah, Conspiracy Brother, why don't you go ahead real quick? Give us your initial thoughts. We'll do a little back and forth.
All right. So I'm always on the fence about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it's obvious that this is an attempt to diminish his ability to win the election in 2024, right? Joe Biden is essentially a walking corpse. He's historically unpopular. I think he's the most unpopular president seeking re-election in the history of this country. And so, in 2020, he was able to win on the strength of a strong anti-Trump push, Russiagate, 2 impeachments, and the whole media apparatus essentially got behind him. The media and intelligence apparatus got behind the Biden campaign. They made it a moral issue to support Joe Biden, and they cooked a bit of the books, I believe, and Joe Biden won. The thing here that I think, is they understand that they can't put him in the basement, at least Not at this point. Now, I've heard some rumors that they're attempting to reintroduce a new strain or amplify news of a new strain of the virus, and maybe try to reintroduce lockdowns and mask mandates and things like that. I don't know that would be viable. I don't know that people would be so willing, even people who supported vaccines and masks and all that stuff would be willing to go back inside after we've seen how things played out. But the other thing that I think is important to remember about this whole situation is that Trump has committed crimes, right? He has legitimately committed crimes. Why has anybody on the Democratic side decided to hit him for the legitimate crimes that he's committed, or even some of the conflicts of interest? Why haven't they been investigated? And the simple answer is because they are guilty of those same crimes, right? Nancy Pelosi's son, John Kerry's stepson, Mitt Romney, who was a Republican, his son, and Hunter Biden. The four of them had all kinds of deals in Ukraine that they made money off of in various ways. Nancy Pelosi, she comes from a family of politicians, right? Her husband is an investment banker, but prior to her getting into politics, I'm not aware of her having such a vast sums of money, right? But her insider trading is something that's well known. I believe Obama signed that bill where members of Congress had to have within 45 days to post their trades, right? And so, we have this situation where what they're trying to do is amplify the negativity of Trump. I think I don't think he's going to go to jail. I don't think he's going to get jail time. These are Class E felonies. I was talking about this on another show that I do. These are Class E felonies. They're the lowest level. They're typically misdemeanors. So these were trumped up to be felonies when they would typically be misdemeanors. He's a sitting president, so now we're having issues that the Supreme Court is probably going to hear that will nullify the Georgia case for whether or not presidents have immunity and how that extends out. So is anything that a president does considered an official act of presidential duty? And then you're going to have a situation where he's not going to go to jail. I don't think that they're going to find that a president can be tried in any capacity. So we don't even get the benefit of, let's say, all the war criminal presidents in our various lifetimes. Bush, both Bushes, Obama, Clinton, Reagan especially, right? LBJ, Nixon, Carter, right? That should handle all of our various age ranges. All have been war criminals. None of them have George Bush, Dick Cheney Obama admitted to a torture program. George Bush admitted that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq on video, right? And that was the whole pretense for the invasion of Iraq after 9/11. And none of them have faced any repercussions for it.
Yet they say nobody is above the law. And I say we don't go after Trump, go after everybody.
Right. But it's selective. And so my point is, I think the reason they went after Trump in this way, as shoddily as they did, is because they hoped that the idea of him being a convicted felon can extend longer than the actual conviction's validity. So after this gets overturned, he's no longer a convicted felon. But what they understand about human psychology is the first thing you hear is typically the thing that you believe, even if it's not true, even if you are presented with contradictory evidence. And so the course of his time as presidency, them saying he's not my president, whether you feel I'm not particularly a big fan of Trump, outside of the fact that I do enjoy that, he does say things that are off the wall and outlandish, but, I didn't vote for him. I'm not voting for him. I don't vote for Republicans or conservatives. I'm not a Democrat. So, I usually write my own name down because I feel like that's what I tell people is I write my own name in because I have as good a chance of becoming president as anybody that I could vote for from the two major parties doing something that actually benefits me, my family, or my community. So, that's my stance on it. But what they have known, when you say, oh, the Russians helped him to win the election in 2016, or that he was had some kind of relationship with Vladimir Putin or the P tape or any of this stuff. Because of human psychology, the first thing you hear is the first thing you believe, even if you're presented with contradictory evidence. And so they hope that the idea of electing a convicted felon is so distasteful to the American sensibilities that even if it is no longer applicable, that people won't vote for him. And so again, as they call it, lawfare, it's media manipulation. Noam Chomsky called it manufacturing consent, but it's an attack on the sensibilities of people and Black people and everybody who has been wronged by the justice system and everybody who has been wronged by the Democratic Party or the duopoly in general, the elites, the globalists, however you want to put it, George Soros, because these people, the deep state, the FBI, the CIA, the alphabet people, they have controlled our government and they have been instrumental in specifically destroying our community for 400 years. Right. And so this is what I've said to people is now what you have seen this is for white people, white conservatives, to see that the country that they love so much, that they believed in so greatly, will do the same to you that they've done to everybody else. What they have done around the world, what they have done here at home to the most vulnerable people, us, especially in Native Americans, they'll do to you with the right motive or the right incentive or the need, they'll do it to you. And, I don't want to believe that it's too late for this to be turned around and for things to be better. But, as I've spoke on last show, that looks like real change. It looks like reparations for descendants of freedmen. That looks like equality and justice and not just lip service, not DEI. But it looks like a substantive look at the history of this country and its present and doing those things necessary to actually build a cohesion between the various groups of people. Right? For so long, America has been able to survive on the fragmentation of its society, right? You let immigrants come over and then they get to move up a little bit. And so that pushes the Negro down even a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
You allow for a few Negroes to make it and you put them in positions of prominence, and then it looks like, okay, well, how come you other Black people aren't doing it? You're failures. And so what we can see here now is when the laws are turned against you, even the president, even a billionaire, white man in this country, when the laws are turned against you and the system is set to get you, you will fail. They will get you. It may not last for long, but the majority of us don't have billions of dollars like Donald Trump to fight this. And the name recognition and the media presence and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? The majority of us are fighting this battle as a community of people in a country that we built for free. So, I guess my long-winded way, that's my thoughts about the situation.
I appreciate that, conspiracy brother. Great perspectives all around. Militant sister, I know you got to get going. Is there any, give us a little closing remarks. Great having you here on the show. Hope to have you come back. We stream twice a month on weekends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. And
Just went out a little bit.
Militant sister, I think you just cut out. Hello?
Yeah.
All right, I think we lost her.
Yeah, we lost her. But yeah, just a second that it was great, even though we didn't get a chance to
learn
enjoy your
to
company.
use our.
Okay, you're back, Militant sister. You were cutting in and out, but can you hear us? Lost her again. None there. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just muted because I'm getting ready to cook, and I just carry the phone with me with whatever I'm doing. But I'm gonna always just keep my mic muted.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we heard Militant Sister for a second, but then she cut out again. Um, all right, but yeah, but thank you, Militant Sister, for coming. Hope to have you back as a
Right.
guest or
We'll
regular.
definitely look
Yep.
forward to your perspective, and any insight you can give. Maybe depending on how things work out, if some panel members have better availability on certain days, we can try to move shows around to try to
Mm-hmm.
accommodate the diversity of ideas and interactions. But
Yeah. So, Nundare, do you have anything else you want to speak on this Trump conviction? We're about to go into another little pop culture vulture topic. But anything else you want to speak on these Trump convictions before we wrap up the topic?
I think I said everything that I remember that happened during this trial.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, they know that this is gonna be overturned. They know it, but this was just to um to diminish the voter base, diminish the voters, and he ended up raising how much? 52 million, and
53
and his
million.
site, yeah, and his site crashed, and the GOP, even people donated to the GOP. So what they have created, everything they do to him, it backfires. I don't know if you want me to get in the spiritual aspect,
No,
but
go ahead. We could cook it. Hey, we chop it up here. So you got to cook. Let's cook.
I mean, because really, these are Democrats. Really. The Democratic Party used to be for the little man, and it has totally switched to, and I'm sorry to say, if anybody ever done, and I used to argue with the people at my job, how do y'all want to vote a pedo and a Satanist? And that goes over most Christians. He is that. Finally, his daughter Ashley finally admitted that her diary is true. He
Mm-hmm.
took showers with her as a kid. I mean, it's just, this battle is really between good and evil. This is what it
Yeah.
boils down to. Really, it really is. And you know, this is what it is. But everything they do is helping Trump, and they're gonna make this man a martyr. And it's only one thing left to do. I don't even know if we really gonna even have an election, because
Right.
something devastating is gonna happen between now and November. Watch my words. It's
Oh, I'm with you.
already planned. It's already planned. We may not even have an election, because whatever's coming is gonna be so devastating. And the only thing left for them to do, like I said before, is to unalive him.
The only thing, and the crazy thing is, like the same people that say, "Oh, they'll never try and impeach Trump while he's in office," they impeached him. Oh, they'll never bring these indictments against Trump. They indicted him. Oh, they're never going to convict Trump. They convicted him. So these are the same people that say, "Oh, that COVID virus over there in China will never come over here. Oh, they'll never lock the country down." These are the same naysayers who now think, "Oh, Trump will never go to jail." The Dems, and of course, like the establishment Republicans, Republican Party is almost just as corrupt.
Right,
They
they
want
work
to see him as,
together. It,
yeah,
it it's a show.
uniparty,
They
uniparty.
work at my last video, I did a PSA. All of them need to go. All of them need to go. All of them need to be voted right. Now I do like two. I like Byron Donalds
Mm-hmm.
from Florida. Oh, I like him. He's a smart, black, intelligent. Oh, I like him. Actually, I hope that's who we picked for his VP. I like Vivid. He not in there, and I don't agree with everything Marjorie Taylor Greene says, but I like her because she stands up for her. I don't agree with her. I think she racist, all that, but
Mm-hmm.
she stands up for what she believes in. She is not bought or sold, so I do
Mm-hmm.
support her in that aspect. The rest of all of them need to go. I mean, we need to vote out judicial. We need to vote out the judges. We need to vote out House Senator. That Dan Schumer, Pelosi, McConnell, what he's supposed to be retiring. They are too old. Get the hell out of there. You too old. Turn this over to the young people who have fresh ideas. Our time is past. We can just give our wisdom. Get y'all ass up out of there. Y'all, and just like Conspiracy Brothers said, they have made more money. They came in the office with $2 and they leave out with millions.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the fact is, a lot of people, a lot of like Americans, most of the people that don't, we call the normies, who don't really pay attention to what's going on, and they don't even correlate things such as this politician from your hometown that was, couldn't have two nickels to rub together. Now they're getting a book deal. Now they're rubbing elbows, and now they're multimillionaires. And the fact also is that I think most people, I think there'd be 10 to 15%. I know there's these polls out here talking about 56% of people vote for Trump no matter what, or whatever it is. But I feel like there's going to be that 10, 15% of the normies who just are going to sit in front of CNN, MSNBC, hear convicted felon Trump, convicted felon Trump, convicted felon Trump. Conspiracy Brothers, this goes into what you talked about with like neurolinguistics, where every former president, they'll refer to as President Obama, President Clinton, President Bush. When it comes to Trump, and I know Nundare, you were following the court case, they would always refer to Trump as, Mr. Trump, convicted felon Trump. So little things like that gets the normies going, yeah, he's a felon, he's convicted felon. I can't see myself voting for a felon. There's little things like that.
Like my daddy. He in the 76, 77, can't stand. See, for the older generation, absolutely, because all he does is sit and watch CNN. Yep. Don't look at Fox at all. Doesn't have the internet at all. Will not get the internet. Calls me to pull up information. So for the older generation, it absolutely is going to turn them. But for the people who know the truth, because we in the age of Aquarius, and there has been a great awakening among the people, and I'm so proud of our people finally waking up. We've been giving these people our votes for 50 years and haven't got a doggone thing. I really want to cuss. We haven't received anything, nothing in return for so I'm glad that our people are finally waking up, to the truth. Vote policy, not skin color. Because all skin folk is not kin folk. We do have a thing called black boule. That is true.
Black bourgeoisie is alive and well.
Right. So, you got your rolling. I can't stand him. Oh my God.
Roly-poly. Roly-poly.
What's her name? Joy Bear. I can't stand her. Simone. All of these, oh my God. But anyway, vote policy. It's the policy.
Also, not relying on any, whether you Republican, Democrat, not relying on any savior. Trump's not our savior. God is. Christ is king, in my opinion. Once again, I don't know everybody here is Christian, but at the same time,
I agree with you on that. And I do believe, part of me believes that this is why it had to be a humbling experience, because they have made Trump an idol. And God, he is against idolatry. And so I believe that part of this had to be a humbling thing. Yeah, well, he not an idol, because at the end of the day, the scripture says, turn from your wicked ways and I will heal your land. America, repent. But America is not, because she's too arrogant. And that's why we watching the beginning of the end of America's dominance as a world power. And it's scripture. If you ever read Revelations, it has to happen. And so I'm leaving. I got my passport. I'm leaving. My kids don't believe me, but I'm packing. I'm gonna be gone.
I got mine too. I got mine ready just in case.
Listen, I'm gonna be gone if I grab my money And look, if I got it, and I'm going with one suitcase, and I mean I'm leaving everything.
Old school.
Yep,
Got that old school
everything I'm leaving.
suitcase and that little hobo bag with the polka dot bag with the stick.
Yep, with my passport and my debit card and
Yeah.
my money, okay, and my credit card.
And I will say, like I said, like we can't be relying on any political party, any one person. Even if Trump, we feel like once again has certain policies that I feel like is that has enough common interest that could at least slow some things down for Black folks if he gets reelected. But he's not the end all be all solution. No political party is, no president is, and we need to make sure we put an emphasis on getting more involved locally in local elections, city council people, school boards. That's a big part of it too. Not just these every once in a while 4 years you just vote for the next president. We got to take more responsibility and accountability with our local elections too. But that's all I wanted to. Conspiracy Brothers, you want to add anything else before we move on to Kendrick,
Well,
Lamar?
yeah, I think when you really sit down and look at this situation, I think it's very possible that the election won't go as planned. But I think what is likeliest if something like this happens is that you'll have another civil war. I think there is, or at the very least, they would like to sow the seeds of a likeliness for a civil war in order to institute some more draconian authoritarian policies. You know what I'm saying? So if they can plant the seeds within the smooth-brained individuals that we have who still wear masks, who proudly got vaccinated, who are still who are still getting boosters, people who believe that Joe Biden is a good president. If you can get enough of a panic, because that's the majority of people, right? In some capacity, that person makes up the majority of people. Not every person who likes Joe Biden is fully vaccinated. Not every person who is fully vaccinated likes Joe Biden. Not every person who likes Joe Biden is wearing a mask. But in some capacity, they represent the majority of the population. And so if you can get them on board with the idea that they need saving or preventative measures from a civil war, then we'll be able to implement draconian authoritarian policies, and you will see the election suspended, or you will see mail-in balloting. You're right. I was listening to Dave Smith talk to Chris Cuomo. They had a debate about COVID, talking about the situation with Trump. And one of the things Dave talked about, and he's talked about this quite a lot. He talked about it on Jimmy Dore's show, and Jimmy Dore's talked about it, him and Kurt, that the 2020 election really had all the hallmarks of a color revolution, right? So when you see those types of things happen in foreign countries, they can have the tendency to be more violent, right? Because those societies are more unstable. And so because of that instability, like when you saw the color revolution in 2014, the Maidan coup in Ukraine, where snipers were killing civilians, right? Because the country didn't have a thorough enough infrastructure, there was no remedy for that. In America, we don't have the lawlessness that exists in a lot of the countries that are susceptible to color revolutions. And so the closest that you'd get in a country like this is the 2020 election year, where you had massive protests all over the country for George Floyd, which, you could believe they're right or wrong. I know that I knew that Black Lives Matter organization was co-opted.
By
I knew
George
that the Black Lives
Soros.
Matter organization was co-opted years ago.
Yeah, George Soros.
Yeah,
Right.
George Soros. I just want to interject something that you said about this country is headed into anarchy and lawlessness with defund the police and no cash bail. We see what's happening in New York, Chicago, Portland. Portland did get rid of their district attorney, Soros back funded. They voted him out last week. So you got Newsom with the laws and all that, but that is all by design. There's a book, Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper, who ex-CIA. They unalived him as well. But there's a point in there that it's two things standing against the New World Order that is here. It's here. Is Iran and the Patriot. That's the last thing standing before the New World Order will be fully implemented. The one world government, one world currency, one world religion. Once they diminish the Patriot, this is the last act. This is the last stand, is the Patriot. Trump is a patriot. The Patriots rally against him. They rally for him, not against him. I'm sorry. They rally for him. Once patriotism is destroyed, that's it. And Iran. That's the only two things left. And this is what they're doing now, is to destroy the Patriot. That's why J6 wasn't an insurrection. I watched the whole thing. I watched them open the gates. I watched them but the only thing I didn't know, that the FBI was in plain clothes there. That was just, that just came out maybe a couple months ago. I watched the whole, I said, I watched the whole thing. Once they get rid of America done, this the only thing that's keeping us right now. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm about to start cooking.
Amen.
No.
Amen. All right. Conspiracy brother, anything else you wanted to add before we hop into the next topic?
Yeah, we can move to the next topic.
All right, cool. Great commentary, everybody. Just a quick shameless plug. Once again, guys, you are watching Uncomfy Truths. It's episode 26. We've been doing this going on, I think it'd be about 2 years this summer, if I'm not correct, conspiracy brother. So it's been a minute. It's been coming up 2 years. And we are on Rumble. So I'm doing a little plug-in of our Rumble page right here, our YouTube. We're going to have a little text scrolling at the bottom. So if you guys want to contribute, we got like a give, send, go. So we want to get more consistent promoting that. We're also on Odyssey. Odyssey got this thumbnail issue. I don't know if I got to go back and upload the thumbnails. But yeah, we're on Rumble, YouTube, and Odyssey. So feel free, whichever one you like, go ahead and subscribe. All right, next topic, conspiracy brother. If you be, I'd like you to maybe read this one. I know usually pop culture, a lot of that stuff, we kind of tend to skew more politics. But as they say, politics is downstream of culture. So I think there's some takeaways we can learn from this, as manufactured and as commercial as this beef is, and then kind of the historic sort of spiritual satanicness of the music industry. I thought this would be a cool, fun topic to read on. So this is from Vulture, and then we can kind of break this down. What's BS? What isn't? What is this distracting us from? That's a big one. What is this whole Drake, Kendrick, Lamar beef distracting us from? There's some good tracks in there. I ain't gonna lie. There's some bangers, but why are we getting this now, and what is behind this besides keeping black folks distracted? So, conspiracy brother, if you can read this article for us, and then we can kind of give our own assessments.
All right. From Vulture, it's interesting that that Vulture is the article you picked from, considering they got Drake as the cover artist, but the cover photo for this article. But a complete track-by-track timeline of Drake and Kendrick Lamar's feud. As you may have heard, Drake and Kendrick Lamar are in the throes of an intense and seemingly never-ending rap battle. Though the two artists have long been at odds, this latest chapter ignited in March with the release of Like That, which quickly kicked off an incendiary back and forth that can be difficult to keep up with. Here we break down the play-by-play of this beef by track, the most recent of which is Drake's feature on Sexy Red's "You My Everything," a terrible song, a terrible artist.
Oh yeah, and I want to and while we're on that tip, also none dare letting you know we're gonna read through this article, but anytime you want to interject or mention something, we can kind of just point and make fun of the absurdity of this. I could care less about this beef. I got my own thoughts on the whole satanic stuff, so we can go ahead and like make fun and talk throughout the article.
Okay, well, let
So
me
I'm not.
just tell you
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Drake couldn't even come back on Kendrick Lamar. That's that because I'm a hip hop. I still listen, and Young Boy is my favorite artist. So
Right.
let me just tell you, Drake couldn't even come back with "Not Like Us."
Yeah,
That
he
hit
can.
so hard.
That was
I
it.
blast that in my car. Yes, I do.
Me too. Me too.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie. God's still working on me, but that's a banger though. But we continue. Yeah. Okay. All right. Conspiracy brother, you can keep reading. Any thoughts you got, feel free to expound on.
All right. Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar, March 22nd, 2024. The powder keg that set off this particular chapter of the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef was the song Like That from Future, Metro Boomin, and Lamar. On it, Lamar dismisses the notion that he's in a, quote, big three, end quote, with Drake and J. Cole rapping, quote, "It's just big me," end quote. He also compares himself and Drake to Prince and Michael Jackson, respectively, rapping, quote, "Prince outlived Mike Jack," end quote. Push-Ups by Drake, April 13th, 2024. After several weeks, Drake fired back by mysteriously leaking push-ups. And you know what? This is kind of like an aside, but
yeah, go right ahead.
I hate how every time there's some kind of release, they call it a leak. And that's not a leak. Like leaks used to really be leaks. Like people's albums got leaked back in the day. And then the studios would be like scrambling because now you can't try to get people to buy an album that everybody who wanted it theoretically could get for free.
Bro, it was
not a
the
leak.
If you don't mind me interjecting, it was the commercialization of leaks that started with Wheezy, with Lil Wayne.
Right.
Because remember when he kind of got hot off of the Carter 2, and basically as he's dropping these mixtapes, they figure out, shoot, I can get more buzz and PR by leaking this stuff. He literally had a mixtape, I think it was 07, 08, called The Leak. So after that, it was no longer, oh shit, we leaked this album, we're gonna lose this amount of sales. It became,
right.
Oh, this is the
a part of the process.
This is the playbook now. We're gonna do the leak. The leak's a good thing. Rappers love leaks. But yeah, anyway.
Right. And that goes back to what we talked about with the previous segment. But which featured lyrics, "You ain't," quote, "you ain't no big three, SZA got you wiped down, Travis got you wiped down, Savage got you wiped down, like your label boy, you in the scope right now, and you gonna feel the aftermath of what I write down. I'm at the top of the mountain, so you tight now. Just to have this talk with your ass, I had to hike down. Big difference between Mike then and Mike now," end quote. Drake also went after Lamar's work on pop songs from the likes of Maroon 5 and Taylor Swift, as well as throwing a stray dig at Rick Ross with the lyric, quote, "I might take your latest girl and cuff her like I'm Ricky. Can't believe he jumping in this nigga turning 50. Every song that made it on the chart he got from Drizzy," end quote. Ross fired back just hours later with the diss track of his own, accusing Drake of getting plastic surgery. But let's try to stay on topic here. And so I would like to say that this was a traditional rap beef up until, the tailor-made thing for me was kind of weird because of the AI. Like I get what you were trying to do, but I think, Drake reminds me of one of those guys who thinks he's the cleverest guy in the room. Mm-hmm. And so he goes out and I'm gonna do AI Snoop Dogg and AI Tupac, and it's gonna really get in Kendrick's head. And it's like, I mean, I give you points for creativity, but Tupac not only is a protected, intellectual property, right, by his family, but like he's so revered out west that it seems like the whole situation reaffirmed or affirmed, I guess, Kendrick's contesting that Drake is a culture vulture who's not like us, and he doesn't understand hip hop culture. He's a tourist. He's not really from this, right?
He's not American for one. I mean, he's
not
for
American,
us, but may not be by us. I mean,
and so that's the situation. It's weird, but I'll keep going. Taylor made freestyle, May 19th, April 2024. So it says, while waiting on Lamar's response to push-ups, Drake also put out the since-deleted track Taylor Made Freestyle, on which he used the AI-generated voices of Lamar's idols Tupac and Snoop Dogg to go after him, earning a cease and desist from Shakur's estate. After those AI verses, Drake came in with his own voice to accuse the rapper of not responding to his original diss because he didn't want to interfere with the release of Taylor Swift's The Tortured Poets Department. Quote, now we gotta wait a whole fucking week because Taylor Swift is your new top. And if you about to drop, she gotta approve. End quote. He rapped. Swift has, of course, responded, having famously always wished to be excluded from the narrative when it comes to being name-checked in rap songs. While the song has since been taken down, Snoop Dogg's reaction is thankfully still up.
And once again, we don't gotta. And once again, none there. If you have any other commentary, we don't have to. You don't have to read every song. We can just go to the Not Like Us, and then we can.
Well, So I've been somewhat invested in the artistic side of this beef.
Yeah.
Like
this is a certain song you want to speak on. Yeah, Euphoria. Okay.
I like Kendrick Lamar's music, and so, I think Drake's music, like Kendrick says in the song, I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he act tough. And so, you think about songs like Marvin's Room, when you think about songs like Paris Morton music, when you think about songs like from the Thank Me Later album, right? The Thank Me Later mixtape,
classic,
where Drake was really just a vulnerable Canadian black rapper. Right, singer, pop artist, or what's that song Unthinkable that I guess he wrote for Alicia Keys?
Oh, he wrote.
You think about Drake making music like that.
I didn't know he wrote that.
Or Fall for Your Type, right? Those types of songs is relatable at that time in my life, in my early 20s, mid 20s. You have a lot of emotions. You're going through things. And those kinds of songs speak to where you are in life. This transition he's tried to make to being some thug or gangster or mob affiliated person, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Right? It's not real. We know you grew up in Canada. We know you were a child actor. We knew you grew up in a affluent Jewish neighborhood. He said that himself. His mother is Jewish. And so, even if there is some gun violence in Canada, right? Even if there is some gun violence in Canada, because there is some,
right?
You still find that primarily in the immigrant community. So people from like Somalia and places like that who come from countries where there is a greater degree of social instability, like I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And so those people may be more prone to do things like that, but that ain't who you are.
Yeah, there's gun violence in Canada. There's gun violence in Canada, but Drake ain't got nothing to do with it.
Right. Exactly. He doesn't have anything to do with it. And so you're continuing to live off of the accomplishments, if you want to call them that, the infamy, I think is a better description, of people who are not you and are not from your community. And so, Euphoria was the first track released. It was the response to Drake's Push-Ups and Taylor Made Freestyle. And I think for this track, I think based on where the beef was headed and where it was, I think this was a little underwhelming at the time. It was still a lot of nice lines in here. You know, I listened to this song.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a track that, as the beef has progressed, as Drake and Kendrick Lamar's relationship has progressed, it holds a lot more weight. And so I listen to it a lot more now than even when it first came out. But I'll read Euphoria by Kendrick Lamar, April 30th, 2024. On Euphoria, which shares a title with the HBO series that Drake produces, Lamar eviscerates his rival with pure hatred, leaving no stone left unturned. The verses attack Drake's parenting. Quote, I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that. End quote. His rumored plastic surgery. Quote, didn't tell him where you got your abs from. Now I thought he said then tell him where you got your abs from, but didn't tell him where you got your abs from. End quote. And his rap abilities. Quote, you're not a rap artist, you a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted. End quote. He also called out his use of AI and seemed to confuse actor Haley Joel Osment with televangelist Joel Osteen. In the process, quote, am I battling ghost or AI? Nigga feeling like Joel Osteen. Funny, he was in a film called AI. End quote. And so Kendrick pulled a Drake with the back-to-back and released on May 3rd, 616 in LA. And this was another good song. I think this was a warning shot, right? So after Euphoria was released, the rap beef was on rap beef terms. Mm-hmm. It was on normal rap beef terms. And maybe due to the fact that Kendrick claimed to have a leak in 616 in LA, he claimed to have a leak inside of Drake's camp. You know, he was telling him, hey, let's leave this rap beef to just me and you. Don't bring your families into it. Right? Because he said that in Euphoria. Mm-hmm. He said that too. I think the article didn't even list some of the best lines in Euphoria personally, but I'll leave my fandom out of this. Right. But he says, you know, in 616 in LA, making fun of Drake's penchant for using times and locations in his song title, 616 in LA, arrived just days after Euphoria, delivering on that promise to go, quote, back to back, end quote. It was notably produced by Jack Antonoff, which feels like an acknowledgement of Drake's repeated Taylor Swift references. Jack Antonoff is a producer who frequently works with Taylor Swift. Mm-hmm. I'm adding that as my own aside. In the song, he claims to have operatives inside Drake's label rapping, quote, have you ever thought that OVO was working for me? Fake bully, I hate bullies. You must be a terrible person. Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it, end quote. Family Matters by Drake, May 3rd, 2024. And so this was an interesting turning point, right? Because Drake released this, I think it was like 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. It was like really late or really early. And here was Drake again trying to flex his muscles. Here he made I think a pretty critical mistake in this beef because he didn't learn from Pusha T. He didn't learn from, I guess he got away with it with Meek Mill, but, Nicki Minaj is a rap artist, so it's kind of a bit different. But, you bring in people's family into things and it will bite you. Yeah. Right. Pusha T said,
but was it Drake? The Drake started touching on family first, right?
Right. He started talking about Kendrick's fiance. And in this song, he mentioned that, Kendrick's son might not even be his. And so, while it was salacious and it was kind of, it was popular in the moment. In retrospect, we don't know if any of this is verifiable. And, Kendrick really blew the doors off of things after this, so it really backfired. But here we go. Drake responded with nearly 8-minute track, Family Matters, which suggested that Lamar's child was actually fathered by his manager, Dave Free. He also honed in on Lamar's relationship with his fiancee, Whitney Alford, alleging infidelity and abuse with the lyrics like, quote, you the black messiah wifing up a mixed queen and hit vanilla cream to help out with your self-esteem. On some Bobby shit, I want to know what Whitney need, end quote. And quote, when you put your hands on your girl, is it self-defense because she's bigger than you, end quote. Which, by itself would be funny raps. Right. But those are the kind of raps you make when somebody is losing to you, not when it's even and not when they have the ability to come back at you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Those are kind of like haymakers. And if you don't land a haymaker, you always leave yourself open for a counterpunch. Just in the video here, in the song for the video, because it was released as a music video, Drake is seen destroying the van from Good Kid, Mad City album. So it's supposed to kind of be symbolic. Ooh. Right? And so Kendrick responds, it says May 4th. So that's what I'm saying. Drake probably dropped Family Matters at like 11 o'clock at night. And Kendrick responded by like 1:30 a.m. May 4th.
Man, I just caught that. I just caught that Good Kid, Mad City reference with the purple minivan. I didn't even catch that. Yeah.
Right. And so he's destroying the van in the video as a symbolic gesture. It didn't work out that way. Yeah. So we got Meet the Grams by Kendrick, like I said, released mere hours after. Lamar didn't give us much time to sit with Drake's last disc, putting out Meet the Grams just hours later, which continued the theme of going after each other's families right from the top by telling Drake's son Adonis he's sorry Drake is his father. Speaking of children, the track also alleges Drake has a secret daughter, a claim Drake responded to via Instagram story writing, quote, nah, hold on. Can someone find my hidden daughter, please, and send her to me? These guys are in shambles, end quote. Lamar also circled back to his cosmetic procedure digs, rapping, quote, get some discipline. Don't cut them corners like your daddy did. Fuck what Ozempic did. Don't play with them Brazilians. Get a gym membership, end quote. And again, this sounds the response of, can somebody find my hidden daughter? Sounds funny and whatever. And it, maybe he doesn't have a hidden child, except for the fact that he hit a child in his previous beef with Pusha T. Yeah. And so he would have said the same thing then, hey, find my son that I've got hidden, So that's the thing. When you've already lost the goodwill in that situation, nobody's going to be willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. So maybe he doesn't have a hidden daughter, but, it's definitely possible. It's at least plausible. And so then,
we get to the grand finale.
Well, yeah, but see, this album to me, this song, the Meet the Grams, is such a heavy album. It's such a heavy song that I listen to it very occasionally, because at the end there's a haunting reverb of Kendrick saying over and over again the various ways that Drake has lied about who he is, about his family, about his upbringing, about his body, about what he's had to overcome. And so, it was really like jarring to hear the first time, but I listened to it sparingly because, the way that he dresses down Drake's parents, Drake, and he talks to Drake's son and alleged child, it's a lot to take in. Yeah. But here we have Not Like Us, which I would rightly call the finale of this beef. It's the nail in the coffin, released May 4th. So later that evening, Kendrick released this song. So he hit Drake with like 2 back-to-backs. But here, not even 24 hours after releasing Meet the Grams, Lamar had more to say with the brutal Not Like Us. In it, he makes explosive accusations against Drake with lyrics like, quote, certified lover boy, certified pedophiles, end quote. Quote, say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1, end quote. And quote, trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor, end quote. He also circles back to Drake's use of AI to recreate Tupac's voice on Tailor Made freestyle rapping, quote, you think the Bay gonna let you disrespect Pop, nigga? I think that Oakland show gonna be your last stop, nigga, end quote. And again, as far as club hits goes, because so many Drake fans and Drake himself even said, Kendrick is losing the beef because we want club hit. We want something we could dance to. And in the Family Matters song, Drake tried to call out, LA artists or California artists, YG, who was a gang member, and the Bloods, and a couple other people he tried to say were more believably affiliated in the California gang scene. And so this was kind of a response to that, because YG's producer, Mustard, produced this beat. And it was almost as if to say, hey, man, we sticking with our own people. We sticking with our LA people, our California people. Right. We're not going to pick Canada over California. That's not how it works. And so after this, after 2 days, I thought Drake had learned his lesson and decided to bow out and let it be where it is. Drake responded with the Heart Part 6, which is a play on Kendrick's The Heart series that he releases before every album. So it says Drake has responded to Kendrick's response to his own response to Drake's response to There's Another One. The Heart Part 6 is a play on Lamar's The Heart series, which runs throughout his albums. The last Heart song came on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and had a music video that featured AI deepfakes of O.J. Simpson, Kanye West, Jussie Smollett, Will Smith, Kobe Bryant, and Nipsey Hussle. So AI is going to be a leitmotif of this feud, apparently. In the Heart Part 6, Drake alleges that the hidden daughter rumor was started by his own team in a sort of false flag operation. Quote, "You got to learn to fact check things and be less impatient," end quote, he raps. And so this is weird too, when you look at the way the beef played out. Because Drake is sitting here saying, find me a false daughter, find me a false daughter. I planted these stories, but then he's simultaneously making fun of you for falling for false stories. And then simultaneously, he expects people to believe that he planted stories where people would erroneously, in his position, portray him as a pedophile. You know what I'm saying? That's weird. And then he refutes that he's a pedophile in the Heart Part 6 by saying, "I'm too rich and famous to get away with it." Basically, I can't remember the lines verbatim, but it's something to the effect of, "I'm too rich and famous to get away with being a pedophile. If I was a pedophile, I promise you'd know." And that's just a weird way to say that, considering Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew,
right,
the R. Kelly stuff, potentially the Diddy stuff, the Joe Biden stuff, the Bill Clinton stuff. It's just all really a weird way to phrase that.
No, you have enough.
To be a pedophile.
It's the opposite. You have enough fame and money to hide it. Not that, right. I'm too rich and famous to be it. No, you have enough money to hide that shit.
Right. Exactly. So it's a really weird, it's a weird, it's really weird that he, and so, but here's the last
really fascinating. Yeah, I appreciate your insight, because like I said, I've listened to all the songs. I guess I kind of just go off of the beat and then the lyrics. So I'm not really that tuned in to like a lot of the nuance and sort of the play-by-play as far as like the beef and all that. So this article is really good, and your commentary gives me a little more insight.
Yeah, well, I followed it kind of closely because I don't like rap a lot. I really don't. It's not my favorite genre of music. I listen to a lot of old stuff. So I'll listen to more soul music, blues, stuff like from the past, jazz. But, certain artists, I do enjoy their music. I think their artistry is good. Like I said, I was an admirer of some of Drake's music. I don't know if I would call myself a fan. My wife was a fan. She was certainly a fan. So, I had songs that I would listen to, even songs now that I might listen to that remind me of younger days, right? They would be considered oldies for us now, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But I like Kendrick's music. I like that his music has a message. I like that he uses real instrumentation. And, I think that aspect of music is something that I enjoy. So I don't listen to a lot of different rappers, especially not a lot of the younger, newer rappers, because a lot of their music is vapid and it's not my cup of tea. But though, young people, if they like it, if they want to listen to it, more power to you. Everybody's different. But I mean, Sexy Red is a terrible artist. If you call her that, her music is terrible. Her image is terrible. And I think she's completely an industry plant, and I think there's no denying it in any way. But You My Everything by Sexy Red. Drake's a little late to the beat. So just to add some context, to this. So Metro, in one of the songs that Drake released, I believe it was Family Matters, he says, Metro, shut up and make some drums. Basically telling Metro to just make beats. Him and Metro kind of have a little bit of a tiff now too. So Metro took a song created by this guy named King Wallonius. It was a short called BBL Drizzy. He got the idea. He's like, he does stand-up comedy and comedy. He makes comedy songs using AI. And so he basically wrote a song about Drake having a BBL set to like a Motown-ish or 70s soul artist, based on, Rick Ross calling Drake BBL Drizzy. And so Metro created a beat off of it and said, he was going to have a competition and allow people from all over the world to participate in this, write the best rap to this beat. And if you write the best rap, he'll provide you with a free beat. And so the BBL Drizzy challenge is pretty funny. There was some good music written from it. Some people were just trying it just because, it was still a beat produced by Metro. Even if it wasn't the winning beat, you still got a beat produced by one of the hottest names in rap today, or rap production today, music production. And so in the song You My Everything, Drake attempts to kind of like Uno reverse the impact of the BBL Drizzy beat, the impact that it has on his image, by rapping over it himself and trying to like co-opt it, because BBL Drizzy is saying that he's got a BBL, and he tries to use it in this song to say like women come to him to get BBLs and he pays for them. But I'll read. Drake's a little late to the BBL Drizzy challenge, preparing for an appearance at the Toronto WNBA announcement. Couldn't have taken that long. On Sexy Red's new mixtape, In Sexy We Trust, Drake pops in on You My Everything to rap over Metro Boomin's BBL Drizzy, attempting to redefine the title by making himself the Willy Wonka of body modifications. He sings, quote, I changed a lot of girls' lives for real. They need a new body. They hit me. BBL Drizzy, they want a new body. They asked me for it. BBL Drizzy, end quote. Drake also simply just raps over the track. What? No sax? And so, if you listen to it, it's really a terrible song. And I think because it's a mixtape, you could probably play it if you wanted to, but I don't necessarily advise you to. But it's terrible. The rap is terrible. He sounds almost like somebody has him at gunpoint, right? There's no emotion in it. There's no life in it. It is completely empty, but it sounds like he's trying to, respond. And so I think a lot of Drake fans online, if you go to the Drake Reddit, there are some people who have an unhealthy like or unhealthy appreciation of Drake and his music.
Yeah.
Really, really like Stan from Eminem, that Stan song, like fits these people to a T.
Yeah.
And so, I'm still, I'm 36 years old. I got 3 kids. I got a wife. I got a house. I got a full-time job. I got a podcast, a couple podcasts that I do and hobbies. I got to cut the grass once a week. I got to fix my car up and things like that. So I don't have as much energy to invest in rap beefs as some people might. I obviously I know a bit because you can still watch YouTube videos, and I do like to be in the loop because I do have young children. I like to be able to know what types of things they may be exposed to from school, from peers, and from various locations. But this is still tailored more toward my age group, our generation. And so I decided that I would give it a listen and kind of see how things went. And it is funny. It is funny, but I'm not overly emotionally invested in it either way. But yeah, so that's what I got.
Yeah, yeah, and thanks again for the commentary, conspiracy brother. But also talking about the end of the day, being a family man, having different priorities going on. It's something to kind of be like. It's good to have hobbies, leisures, escapes for that balance. But then once you go into like you were talking about, there's people out there whether they 20 or 50 years old, all they do is live, breathe, and sleep like hip hop, all that stuff, and they kind of make it like almost their idol. Just how people put Trump as an idol. There's people that literally put Drake or whatever it is as idol. And I kind of wanted to, and I guess to kind of before we go on to the next topic, just sort of a fire starter because I gotta say it because somebody gotta say it. Obviously, to this beef, there is an authenticness to it where Drake and Kendrick really don't like each other. But the fact is that at the end of the day, even going back to Tupac and Biggie, there is some level of these culture beefs that is manufactured, that has people in the corners of both camps, whether it's their talent manager, whether it's their agent, whether it's their A&R person at the label, to where there are things they can do to put things in place, whether it's a whisper in the ear, whether it's leaking this info out. This beef just didn't happen by accident. Maybe the timing was maybe a little bit sooner, a little bit later. And once again, I think Drake really doesn't like Kendrick, and Kendrick really hates Drake. But I think at the end of the day, they both still come up. There's a lot more, a bigger bag that both of them have as a result, regardless of how they feel about each other. They're making more bank. And I think their team or their handlers know this. And they also factor on the fact of the Black community, which I like to say, and once again, some of y'all might throw me like, oh, you be like little Larry Elder, little Ben Carson. I'm saying at the end of the day, I think Black folks, once again, we spend a little too much time, and I'm guilty of this myself, but at least acknowledge it. And I'm not saying this is you, conspiracy brother, but I think we all both know people that overconsume mindless entertainment, consume very little or no sort of like personal development or doing things to kind of improve their career, their business. And then on top of that, they follow very little politics. So I kind of just like to pose something to the community or just like even a challenge. Because I know a lot of times we can talk about a lot of the struggles going on in the Black community, different neighborhoods, even people in my family, to where they're like struggling. Maybe they're working 2 to 3 jobs. They don't have time to follow everything going on in politics. They don't have time to do the research on the things Trump's done or the things that Biden has done. Like we kind of throw them that pass that, and this is what I guess this is what the question I'm of course posing. You don't have to really answer it, but the question I'm posing is why do we throw a pass to where when us as Black folks or whoever are working hard, we got bills to pay, we got a family to feed, we don't have time to follow the politics, hours and hours of following it. Yet when it comes to the latest hip hop culture, the latest mindless entertainment, we follow that to a T. We have plenty of time after work to learn about everything going on with the NBA, everything going on with Drake and Kendrick. We will be like students of the NBA finals or what team's playing who next week, or the Drizzy beef. So we have no trouble getting all that consumption of at the end of the day mindless information of the sports teams or the Drake beef. Yet when it comes to politics, I know we don't have time to look into that, man. We're working three jobs, we got family to feed. We don't have time to look into any of that and stay informed. Obviously, you, me, and a lot of people we know are the exception. But I pose that question is how can we get or at least preach the accountability to where, yeah, you still can work hard, but you can still get just as informed on politics, just as informed on personal development or things with business or career, just ways to like improve yourself. And you can still have fun and entertain yourself with mindless entertainment without just it becoming your life. You know what I mean? Like we need to find a balance between being able to follow the politics. Yeah, follow your favorite, mindless entertainment going on, but yes, and also follow other things that are of value. So I kind of just throw that out there where they manufacture and they profiteer off of our ignorance of knowing whatever free time we do have. A lot of black folks, not saying all, they're focused more on the Drake and Kendrick beef, and they know nothing about what's going on with the migrant crisis or how to maybe personally improve. So I kind of throw that out there. I know people may not like it, but I just want to get, Conspiracy Brother, your thoughts, but I just want to kind of get that out there on how we can kind of at least sort of let people know about having that balance of not over consuming on the mindless things and finding a balance for stuff that actually does matter. I want to kind of throw that out there. You know, I know I just.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that just points to you have to train people, right? Yeah. Some people have an innate desire to learn things, to understand how things work, to understand systems of power and how they affect our daily lives, the real world. Yeah. And some people are easily persuaded and distracted by, you know, shiny things. Like a show I used to watch, I don't know if you ever remember seeing it on Adult Swim, called Squidbillies. It was about hillbilly squids from the North Georgia mountains. A really, really funny show.
All right.
And the father squid, he went around and he stole all these, like, you know how they have the doorknobs, like the fake crystal doorknobs. They're like, they look like diamond or crystal or whatever. Yeah. So he had them on his tentacles and stuff, and he had them like in his hat because he would always wear a trucker hat with something on it. And he said, shiny things appeal to me. It's my nature. And that's how he talked.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, that's the human nature. Shiny things appeal to me, you know. Like I've heard people say, oh, why do they call women birds? Because they got short attention spans and they like flashy objects, and, you know, they're flighty, right? And I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. I'm just saying that's why, right? Human nature, just like other animals, we're prone to distraction. And so, you know, when these types of things like the Trump trial, right? We talked about it in our group a little bit, but the verdict for the Trump trial came out the day the U.S. said, hey, Joe Biden said Ukraine can use Western U.S. weapons, Western/U.S. weapons to attack inside Russia, which Russia has already said is a red line. It is a provocation. So you're looking at U.S. essentially authorizing Ukraine to initiate World War III in earnest, right? Not hasn't started yet, but a legitimate retaliation is going to come from Russia. Or that same day, the U.S. and the UK, bombed the capital of Yemen, Sana'a, the same day. They bombed the capital of Yemen, right? So again, when you have these types of beefs, they do have some legitimate bad blood, or at least that's what we think. But when you have these types of beefs and you have these types of media paralysis, where, you know, all around they're talking about these issues, you do need to be mindful of what might be underneath it all. What are they trying to hide? What are they trying to keep from us? What do they want to distract us from that is more important, more consequential, certainly, to our lives than two rich people arguing over, you know, who's more sincere or not? And I say that fully understanding that I have a bias in this battle, and I was invested in it to some degree. I listened to the music again, but I let my investment be. I left my investment at the doorstep of any kind of, you know, real monetary or time investment, right? It was
it's your investment is still minimal, even though you're savvy on the topic. It's minimal, and you have an awareness of it. Like, okay, I have a family, I have a life, I have politics and other business I know I need to stay on top of, but I can still, you know, sit back, escape, and kind of enjoy this, but I don't live in it. And that's the difference that you got, you know. So yeah, I feel you on that. To where other people, it's like, this is when I get off of work or while I'm at work, it's all live, breathe, and sleep, politics. I don't care what's going on. Personal development, I don't care what's going on. But yeah, great point. Anything else you want to add, man? Kendrick Drake thing before we
not really. I mean, you know, there was some good music released on both sides.
Yeah.
I think Kendrick's music has been more memorable. That's kind of been the consensus of pretty much everybody who's been involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you know, I think Drake's music, if he goes back to just making like tunes and melodies and stuff, I think it'd be great. I think we'd all enjoy it a little bit more. Make music for women like he used to make.
Yeah. Stick to your roots, Drake. Come back, Drake. Come back. I miss the old Drake. As they say, I miss the old Kanye. All right. All right, moving forward,
Right.
y'all. Once again, you're watching Conspiracy Brother, Conservative Brother Daily, Uncomfy Truths. You can follow us on Rumble as well as YouTube and Odyssey. Now we're going to move on to another topic. I know, Conspiracy Brother, you brought this up a little while back. We didn't get around to it, but we're still only about midway through our broadcast, so I can mute this old girl real quick. But yeah, this is this comes from Fox Business. I know we got 2 articles on McDonald's, but I definitely think this is worth us discussing. A lot of what's going on with politics. We can kind of talk a lot of the culture war stuff, a lot of the Trump witch hunting. But I think what's really important is that we also look at kitchen table issues, and making sure we kind of at least address some of that. So this is from Fox Business. McDonald's $25 deal goes viral. Users blame California's minimum wage increase. Your new normal. They kind of got a point. Recent study finds that McDonald's prices have risen 100% since 2014, but the chain disputed the study findings to Fox Business. It comes from Andrea Bacciano at Fox Business. A viral social media video about a $25 McDonald's meal recently sparked an online debate about California's minimum wage. A TikTok user who posts videos under the username Shannon_Montypaya shared the video on March 27th. She was in the drive-thru of a Southern California McDonald's location. Sounds about right. It's pretty pricey out here. When she saw a sign for a 40-piece chicken nugget meal deal, which also included 2 large orders of fries. The price of the meal bundle was $25.39, including sales tax. It would come to roughly $27. In the video, the social media user lamented that the meal didn't even include a drink. So it's okay. So it's $25.39 for 40-piece nuggets and 2 large fries. She said you couldn't even throw in the Sprite. You couldn't even throw in like a medium Sprite in there. Holy crap. While the meal is designed to serve 4 people, it demonstrates how prices at the fast food chain have risen over the years. A recent study by Finance Buzz found that McDonald's prices have increased by 100% since 2014. 10 years ago, the average price of 10-piece McNugget meal was $5.99. Now the meal usually goes for $10.99. The video ended up amassing 2 million views, bringing thousands of TikTok users to its comments section, many of whom were nostalgic about past McDonald's prices. Remember when 40 nuggets was $5 and a drink was $1? One comment read. The manager's special used to be 40 nuggets, a gallon of tea. I remember that big sweet tea. I remember that. Lord.
I got a video I want to show since we're bringing up the McDonald's thing, because that's something I have been wanting to talk about.
Yeah, throw it in the private chat.
Really,
yeah, throw the link in the private chat, and I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
All right. So So while Conspiracy Brothers looking up that video, 10 years ago, the average price of a 10-piece nugget meal was $5.99. Now the meal goes for $10.99. Facts. The video ended up amassing 2 million viewers, bringing thousands of TikTok users to its comment section, many of whom keeps jumping around. Many of whom were nostalgic about past McDonald's prices. Remember when? Oh yeah, I already read that part. All right. I spent $48 there yesterday. My jaw on the floor. A third commenter wrote, inevitably, some social media users pointed to the recent legislation in California that increased the minimum wage for fast food workers from 16 to 20. A 20 minimum wage. Welcome to your new normal, one person said. Welcome to California, another chimed in. Other users shared their local McDonald's prices, and very few came close to being as high as California's. $50 nuggets here is $15. One Florida resident said it's $6.19 in Dallas for a 20-piece and a large fries. A Texan wrote. Some viewers thought the video was an overreaction and were unfazed by the price of the meal. $12.50 a person isn't that crazy, a user wrote. You're getting a good deal and you're complaining, another said. While the wage increase went into effect on April 1st, April Fool's Day, that'd be coincidence? I don't know. 4 days after the TikTok video was posted, fast food businesses in Golden State have been bracing for the wage increase for months. Mod Pizza recently closed at least 5 California locations. I have eaten there before. Pizza's pretty good. They're pretty good on deep dish. Before the minimum wage increase kicked in on April 1st, several California fast food establishments, particularly pizza chains, have been laying off employees in recent months. The Wall Street Journal reported last month, including Pizza Hut and Round Table Pizza. Former Mod Pizza employee in Clovis told Fox 26 Fresno that it just kind of seemed like the right timing 2 weeks before all the fast food locations in California got that increase that we closed. Smart. Finally, McDonald's USA told Fox Business that the Finance Buzz report is not an accurate representation of pricing at McDonald's restaurants. As the Finance Buzz report itself notes, pricing is set by individual franchisees and varies by restaurant. And the statement read, "This is not an accurate representation of historical and current pricing of McDonald's restaurants, and the 2024 average prices listed are significantly inflated." Now, look, that's just that right there, bro. That's kind of like, you can see the smugness and just the gaslighting right here of what's going on. Where once again, kind of like with Democrats and establishment Republicans, where it's kind of like, this is what's going on, what Americans are feeling, but you just sort of deny what we're going through. It's kind of like, conspiracy brother, the equivalent if you were to break into my apartment, bust down my door, you see me sitting on the couch with my shirt off, there's McDonald's wrappers and food particles all over me. I'm sitting there and there's like McDonald's wrappers and an empty McDonald's bag right in front of me on the table. And then they turn around and they say, there is absolutely no evidence that conservative brother ate that McDonald's. Like, just a blatant denial. Like, I'm sitting here, the food's all over me. All the evidence is in front of you. There is absolutely no evidence. And you know when establishment people say that, they're lying. So when I hear news reports about there no evidence, like, you already know they're BSing you. And then finally, they say here, value is part of McDonald's DNA, and we're committed to offering customers great value through everyday affordable pricing, plus special offers and deals on our app, blah, blah. So I say that to say, my initial thoughts is that at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to pay one way or another. So a lot of these people that have been pushing the new minimum wage, drive up the minimum wage, is going to come out somewhere. Just like with the writer strikes and the actors strikes and how they forge new deals. And now people are surprised months later when the streaming subscriptions are going up. You're going to pay one way or another. So I can't fault McDonald's all the way. I call BS when they deny it, instead of just saying, yeah, California made us raise our wage, so we're not going to gaslight you on our prices being high. They're high. But this is why. So, conspiracy brother, I'd like to get your take,
Yes, I posted that link in the chat. But here's what I think.
Yeah.
The minimum wage has certainly increased the price of goods in California.
Mm-hmm.
I have, kind of 2 points I want to make about this. There is no reason for anybody to ever eat at McDonald's. And I'm not saying this like in a self-righteous kind of way. I haven't eaten at McDonald's in the United States in about 16 years, right? But disputed. But what I mean to say by this is there's no reason for anybody to eat there. So if McDonald's prices itself out of the average consumer's pocket, they stand to lose their business. And so that's the situation. California says, hey, we think you got to pay more money because people can't make any money. They can't afford to live working for your establishment. And McDonald's says, okay, we'll raise the prices of our goods and services and raise the prices of our wages. But the average work, if they raise their wages too high, people can't afford to eat there. And so they'll close down. And that brings me to my second point. The problem with this is the greed of corporations. And we can talk about capitalism and whatever we want or whatever. But the situation is simply that. Remember when 9/11 happened? The video is playing, but it's muted. I can't hear it. But remember during 9/11, when all the gas went up, remember before 9/11, gas was like, premium was like $1.09.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I can't hear the video at all.
Oh, no, yeah, I was, I got it playing. I got it muted. If you wanted to finish your point, then I could start playing the video.
Okay.
I just play it just for people to have something to look at, but.
Okay. Yeah. So you remember gas went to like $1.09 for premium, and then it was like 99 cents. And then after 9/11, it went to $2. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
All over the media, what did they say was the cause? They said, well, the war in the Middle East is causing a disruption to crude oil supply, crude oil supplies. So the cost of goods is going up. It costs us more, price per barrel. It's like whatever, $60 or whatever. So it just costs more. But what happened at the end of the year? Record profits. And I'm, in 2001, 13, 14. And I'm saying to myself, at that age, how can you have increase in the cost of doing business? And I didn't use these words, right? I didn't understand these concepts. But I said to myself, how can the cost of oil per barrel go up? And that's why you have to increase the price for gas. But simultaneously, you making record profits. That don't add up. If I say that I got a hole in a bucket, and so in order for me to fill up this other bucket, right, that's heavier to move, I've got to work faster or move faster or fill the bucket up, more quickly, the one with the hole in it, in order to accomplish my goal of filling up this larger, heavier bucket. At the end of it all, I filled the bucket up faster than using a bucket with no hole in it. You'd say, well, that's kind of weird. You said you needed more whatever, water or whatever, to fill it up because this bucket has a hole in it. But after the process is over, it actually took you less trips than with a normal bucket. That's the same thing here. So it's the same with these corporations. They'll tell us that they got to raise the prices because of the minimum wage increase. But minimum wage in the United States has been $7.25 at the federal level since 2000 something. And Big Macs have gone up, and the price of quarter pounders has gone up. Right? Used to be able to buy in 2005 and 4. I used to eat McDonald's a lot. But used to be able to buy 2 double cheeseburgers and a fry for like $3. 2 double cheeseburgers, because it was the big double deal. Remember, you got 2 double cheeseburgers for $1. And you could get a value fry for $1. And if you got a drink, that was $3. So you got a fry, 2 burgers, and a drink for $3. You can't do that now. Yeah, they've even increased the price of a hot and ready from pizza, Little Caesars. It's not even $5 anymore. They did that before there was any wage increase. So what we see is these corporations and companies want to push the cost of doing business onto the consumer like everybody else. The government even does it. But they want to push the cost of doing business onto the consumer. When the government taxes businesses, the business says we're going to increase the price of our product or service to compensate for the amount of money that we have to pay in an increase in taxes or the cost of doing business. And so corporations will then say, hey, we need less red tape. But if there was less red tape, they wouldn't cut the price. If you're used to paying $100 for something, and the company who you're buying it from, let's say a shoe, you're used to paying $100 for shoes, and the company says, well, you pay $100 for shoes because there's taxes from the government, so this compensates for those taxes, and so it gives us the opportunity to make the amount of money we want to make and simultaneously cover the cost of these taxes. If the government, when they have the government shutdown, you know, and they furloughed people, so the government wasn't taking the revenue. They didn't, the businesses who were affected by government taxation didn't decrease their revenue by the difference between the taxes. You see what I'm saying? And so McDonald's is a corporation who makes money off of its employees and off of the people who eat its food. If they can't afford to pay people enough money to work there, they'll either lose their employees, which would cost them business, or they'll drive away their consumers and their customers, which will cost them business due to pricing. So it's totally in their hands how they want to handle it. Does the CEO still want to make $40 million a year? Or is he fine making $10 million a year and not raising the prices of their goods and services up and also paying a fair wage for their employees? That's all up to him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they want you to believe it's the workers' fault. So we can look at this video here. I think it's like 6 minutes long, but it breaks down the increase in popularity of American fast food in France. Now, France has some of the strictest rules in the world concerning food and some of the strictest rules in the world concerning workers' rights. The work week in France is 35 hours. That's the standard work week. So 5 hours less than we have here in the United States. They used to have this. They don't anymore. I've heard they're phasing out, but they used to have an hour paid lunch. The minimum wage in France is 11 euros 86 cents, I believe. I had it written down when I posted this article. Let me tell you, I'll read it to you. So the minimum wage in France is 11 euros and 65 cents per hour, or 1,766 euros and 92 cents per month. They also have really strict rules about what how the foods must be produced, how it must be stored, what it needs to be in order for it to be called butter, for example. Like vegan butter is not legally allowed to be called butter in France because it doesn't have any of the particles in it that real butter has. So for the United States fast food corporations to be able to not only survive in France, but to thrive, shows you that if they want to, they can do whatever they want to give us nutritious food here, to give us healthier food options, and to pay living wages. They choose not to, and the politicians that we elect, who we elect to represent us in these issues, don't have our back because they're all bought and sold. But I'll be quiet so we can play this video. Like I said, it's like might be 12 minutes. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but let's watch. Let's say we'll watch 3 to 4 minutes of it to start, just to get an idea. Maybe I'll have you skip around, but yeah.
Okay.
You can blow up the screen if you want.
I don't know. I don't know if that might affect. Hold on. Let me. Are you able to see, or does it gray it out?
It's grayed out.
Okay, yeah, that's what happens whenever I try and full screen it.
Oh,
right.
okay.
All right, let's just play it until we could figure a hack around that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still play it, and
yeah. You can put me back on the screen.
Yeah, where is it? There.
Oh, okay. All right.
Couldn't remember which framing I had us in. Okay.
All good. All right, I'll play right now.
American fast food is taking over France. From recent arrivals, like Popeyes and Krispy Kreme, We appreciate more American fast food than Americans themselves.
To establish favorites.
KFC, of course, because I love chicken.
It's like the hype, it's the trend now. It's addictive, I think, and it brings very much of happiness to people.
Between 2019 and 2023, more than 1,300 fast food stores opened in France, bringing in 19 billion euros in profits in 2023 alone. Despite its reputation for gastronomy, the French palate is changing. France is McDonald's and Burger King's second largest market outside of the US.
A lot of brands want to come in France because France is an Eldorado. You do 2 or 3 times sales more than the other country.
It's a country that has a high propensity to eat American brands. It has the right demographics as well, that restaurants have found success there.
So how did American fast food companies win over the culinary conscious, fine dining, Michelin star-loving French crowd? CNBC visited Paris to find out. It's lunchtime in the Les Halles neighborhood in Paris.
I take this menu today because I love fries and I love nuggets.
Between 2013 and 2023, fast food sales increased a whopping 61% in France. McDonald's and Burger King are the biggest players. Their combined sales climbed to a total of 8.3 billion euros in 2023. Burgers play a big role. Quick service restaurants that served burgers accounted for about half of the country's sales that year.
The burger has taken a growing share of the market over the last 30 years and has become an essential item on every restaurant menu.
But it's not only burgers. American fast food companies, helped by clever marketing, built their brands behind iconic products.
People in France want to discover other tastes, and when you explain that with a good story, with an iconic burger, you succeed. For Popeyes, it's a chicken sandwich. For McDonald's, it's a Big Mac. For Burger King, it's a Whopper.
We are the country of the Michelin restaurant. It's like gastronomy, very high standards, and still QSR fast food is very trendy. What that shows is that even though we appreciate food, we still understand that we love treating ourselves.
In a 5-year span, the country's top-performing fast food chains, excluding Subway, opened nearly 500 stores across France. Total profits for the category increased about 10% during that time.
In the most recent decade, it's really heated up from other newer concepts, more fast casual, that have gone over to France. I think American concepts have done a great job of making their offerings an affordable indulgence.
The potential of France is huge, given the appetite for the customer for both for pizza and for American brands. So you think that you have a great combination.
France is a global leader in culinary excellence and boasts more Michelin-starred restaurants than to esteemed culinary institutions like the Cordon Bleu, producing some of the best chefs in the world. In 2022, the country claimed 157,000 eateries, more than half were traditional full-service restaurants. Because of this legacy, American quick service restaurants, or QSRs, took a specialized approach when entering the French market.
What I can tell you about French people is that we don't get fed, we eat. And actually, we treat food with emotion. So whenever you bring an American brand, you can't just bring an American brand. You need to bring emotion with your product. You need to bring connection.
Just given the cliche that France is a fancier place to eat, the concepts have really led with their best foot forward, really focused on modernized images, higher quality, higher price point, more innovative offerings as well.
That includes sourcing most or all ingredients from French farmers, like the potatoes used for McDonald's French fries and the chicken in Popeyes' sandwiches.
It's very important to build this relationship. They have strong partnership with the farmers. That's why the QSR American brand have succeed.
American QSRs have adapted to European Union food standards, and as a result, those products are healthier and less processed than the US offerings. These brands also cater to French palates by altering menu items or creating new products.
Let's pause right there.
What it takes.
Pause on those
Because you saw all those French people eating McDonald's, eating fries, eating burgers, eating chicken sandwiches from Popeyes, eating pizza, eating whatever. Why aren't they all fat? Why is everybody over here fat?
Let's not rush past that. We need to unpack that. And I remember a quote you said earlier, which I think is great. We were talking about Trump conviction earlier, on how people tend to believe the first thing they hear, or the first thing about some piece of news they hear, they tend to believe it. But then anything after that, it's hard for people to take new information and to process it and to really end up changing their opinion, analyzing the info, breaking it down, and then taking on this new opinion. They tend to believe the first thing is true. So I think you said it right there. Like, why aren't they fat? Why is this whole new health standard that they apply over there toward their food processing that we don't have here? But yeah, continue. That's deep.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you really continue with what I was going to say, right? We have a situation where American companies are doing what it takes to not only survive in France, but be industry leading and successful, because there are other fast food restaurants around the world, right?
Right.
But American fast food brands have found ways to be successful in France. They said healthier food, better quality. It was a guy I was watching a video, a YouTube short. It wasn't a YouTube short, it was a video. And I almost posted it to the group. I hadn't yet, but I was thinking about it. And he was saying when he goes to France, you know, his family goes to Europe for like a month over the summers. And they always lose weight. He says, you know, I'm on vacation, so I'm eating croissants, I'm eating pain au chocolat, I'm eating baguettes, I'm eating butter, you know, because like I think in France they eat like 8 pounds of butter per person.
Right.
But our food is processed, which is why I don't eat McDonald's here. Our food is processed. You know, there's what, 6-7 years ago, there was that video of the pink sludge in McDonald's, and people are still eating it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm guilty of that myself. I would say, you know, take your time with me, patient.
Oh, but, no, this is the thing. I'm not trying to, because my parents eat it. My older sister.
For sure. Oh yeah. I'm not saying that. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, whatever they put in the food makes it so addictive to you to eat that even though you understand that there's some garbage in there, you still want it. You know what I'm saying?
This is true. There's some chemicals in there. Would you say there's a fast food here in the country that you would eat if you had to choose one? If you had,
I do eat fast food from time to time.
Yeah.
I don't eat Taco Bell anymore. I went to a point where I was eating Taco Bell, but only like their beans and stuff. And with the way their menu has changed and the offerings they have for their foods, a lot of their stuff I just make at home. I'll just buy some of their meal kits, or I'll like make my own meal, like taco kits or whatever, to make the foods that they don't sell anymore. But I still eat Little Caesars from time to time. I still eat Burger King from time to time. I still eat Wendy's from time to time. I'll eat Chick-fil-A. Like, I eat fast food. I'm not trying. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to tear anybody down from eating fast food. I'm just saying McDonald's is the only one that we have actually had proof that they're not even giving you 100% meat, you know. But you look at the ways, even, you know, Morgan Spurlock, he died last week or a couple weeks ago at this point.
What? The Supersize Me guy?
Yeah, he died. He died from cancer.
Oh man, I didn't even know that.
And you remember now it's come out that there might have been some inconsistencies with his data, his scientific medical research. He was a functioning alcoholic, and so there might be some other reasons why his numbers were so bad, right? It wasn't just fast food. But
I didn't know that.
when we sit and look at the quality of food that we have, like I've been to Japan three times. I've flown through the country 3 times. I've been to the country twice, where I actually went to the city and stayed there over a period of days and vacation, hotel, everything. And their food, their McDonald's is better. The types of food they offer is better, and the quality of food they offer is better. You go to that McDonald's there, and you'll see sometimes you'll get food, and the food looks like the picture on the menu. Why aren't we able to provide that quality of service? When I went to Amsterdam, I went to a KFC, and the food was delicious. It tasted fresh. It was healthy. Apparently they paid a living wage to the employees. And I went about 9 years ago, and they had, or maybe 8 years ago, and they already had the kiosks where you order from the kiosk, and then you went and picked your food up. You paid at the kiosk. They had that 8 or 9 years ago, right? In the Netherlands. KFC, food is good. McDonald's, food is good. But you don't offer us the same quality. And it's because our food is so highly processed at every step throughout the process. It was a video I was watching. They're talking about avocado oil. This was about a 3-year-old video, so some of it has changed now. But they were legally allowed to sell oil labeled avocado oil that did not have any avocado oil in it at all. It was 100% pure soybean oil. And they were legally allowed to sell it as avocado oil. They were selling avocado oil that was rancid. So it wasn't even good for you anymore. Right? Not necessarily that it would kill you, but that it was not the highest quality of oil product anymore. And they were legally allowed to sell it in stores. We live in a country. My doctor, I've been losing weight, as I've gotten older and less active. My weight has been something that I've struggled with, trying to keep in control. And I think at this point, I figured out a method that works for me. When I was younger, even when I was married, but younger and didn't have kids, I would go to the gym, I would run around. And, now that I have kids, it's just, I don't have time. I don't have time to devote to the gym and do an adequate job, I feel, being a parent. So the gym had to be sacrificed. So now, I do push-ups at home. I do yoga at home. I do some yoga videos from Netflix, and I do some workouts that I made up, and I found a way to watch what I eat that I think has long-term viability for me. But my doctor wanted me to take Ozempic. She told me that my cholesterol, my LDL, was too high. It's 103. The limit is 100. That's the limit of high. She told me at 103 that my numbers were too high. She never tried to introduce any type of eating regimen for me, or introduce any types of eating plans. Hey, cut out these types. Nothing. She went straight to, hey, take this pill here for your cholesterol, and think about taking Ozempic. Why? Because and it's not just the medical care system, but our medical care, our foods are bad for you, right? They want you to eat bugs. They're already telling you they want you to eat bugs and lab-grown meats and 3D printed meat. Why? Because they don't care about you. The doctor makes more money. The hospital makes more money. The medical industrial complex makes more money if you're sick and if they can give you a pill. If they tell you, hey, man, just eat more lettuce and cut out the sugar and the carbs, and you'd be better off, they make less money because now you've stopped eating something. Because you think about pop, I don't really drink pop at all. I haven't drunk pop in a long time. That is something that I've given up. I may have one occasionally, like for a special occasion, but I'll even try to get sugar-free pops or sugar-free drinks if I can. But you think about how much pop you can drink at a time in a day. And it's just calories going through you. And it's just sugar going through you. And it comes out of you like water because it's just a liquid. So you'll never feel satiated. You'll never feel full. And you'll consume. And that's what they want. Because they stand to gain. When you look at the wealthy, the billionaires, the millionaires, they don't eat the kinds of foods that we eat. They may, partake occasionally. But when you look at the types of food, when you look at fine dining restaurants, like when they showed the Michelin star restaurant in the video from CNBC, rich people eat what I would consider like a low carb or keto type diet. They eat small plates of foods with cheese, chips, and meats and fats and oils, and they really don't eat a lot of carbs. They'll eat breads. I'm not saying they don't eat any at all. They'll eat pastas, but they limit those. They eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of fats, a lot of protein. But they'll have you, I don't know if you ever heard of that documentary, What the Health, back in, maybe about 6 years ago. It was really
I remember that. Yeah, that was pretty big when it came out.
And the guy in the video says what? You could eat as much sugar as you want. Diabetes and all this stuff is a product of eating animal products. And I watched this. Now I've been in great shape, at points in my life. Great shape. I was an athlete, thought about bodybuilding, never did it, but great shape. Never in my life have I heard a lunacy like that you can eat as much sugar as you want. And that animal products are the reason for diabetes and other health-related issues, food-related issues. Eat as much sugar as you want.
They were planting that new world order,
right?
Green agenda, like vegan, eat the bugs mindset.
It was propaganda.
Yeah.
When I see Bill Gates eat eat bugs and eat fake meat and live on that for the rest of his life exclusively, when I see him stop flying in private jets, then I'll consider it. I ain't doing it. I'm still
they live stream him eating every meal, every vegan meal that I may consider.
Right. I'll consider it. I still ain't doing it, but I'll consider it. But you want me to live a lifestyle you don't live. You want me to have an electric car when you have a private jet. John Kerry is the environmental czar for the Biden administration. Jet from his wife.
He is.
So it's hypocrisy. It's a hypocrisy because they want to capture the people. They know, just like when we talk about free speech and social media and stuff, they know that we only have a few methods for us to rebel against this corrupt system. And free speech is one of them. So they want to limit the free speech that we have so that you can't go on YouTube and say what you want to say anymore. You can't go on Facebook and Instagram and even Twitter. People are still getting censored from Twitter.
Even with Elon Musk, I'm not on there. And, by the way, shameless plug, Conservative Brother Daily. I'm on Truth Social. I'm on Brighteon. I'm on YouTube. I got to be careful on YouTube. But yeah, I haven't been back on Twitter. It's been a year this year since I got banned. Even though Elon took it over like a few months prior. I'm still Conservative Brother Daily. I'm still not back on Twitter X. Going over a year. Shameless, man.
Shameless. Right. And I mean, for me, I've been banned on Twitter for maybe 2 to 3 years. I'm not really pressed about it.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah. But like, those are your outlets as a people, right? That's why the First Amendment exists, because the people who founded this country could recognize the power in your ability to speak freely, to freely associate, right? Because if you can call out the lies like we do with this show, with the best of our ability, we try to call out the lies from both sides of the aisle. Joe Biden is no friend of mine. You know what I'm saying? The Democratic Party is no friend of mine. The Republicans are no friend of mine. And I don't know that Trump is a friend of mine. But like I said, I like the chaos that he brings. I'm not voting for him, but I still like the chaos. I'm not going to be upset if he wins. Right. I won't be more upset than I was that Biden won.
Right.
But that's the situation we're in. They want to clamp down on everything they do. They want to pump you full of poison, make you take drugs. They want to destroy the family unit. They want your kids to hate you. They want your wife to hate you. They want your wife to work so that you can't afford to live a decent, healthy home life. They want your kids to go to daycare and be indoctrinated from strangers who don't know what gender they are, right? Or don't know what a girl or a boy is. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want to completely destabilize the family unit.
because they know that that's where the power lies. The power for the common man and the common woman is in family, the family unit and the community. The wealthy don't need family. They have them. They have family, but they don't need family because they can pay for whatever they need. They can pay for the military. They can pay for private police and bodyguards. They can pay for whatever they need. But they understand that for us, those of us who can't afford, that our strength and stability comes from family and community.
Facts. I don't think you could have summed it up even better. We could literally segue right into the COVID vaccine, AstraZeneca, but I want to get to a couple of other items. This is the second McDonald's article. Did you want me to read this briefly and then touch on this one?
Yeah, you can read it because this is still what we're talking about.
Yeah. So this is the second article from CNBC from Alex Herring. McDonald's and other big brands warn that low-income consumers are starting to crack. So this is a shorter read. This comes from CNBC. Executives at some America's larger corporate companies have said that the consumers feel the pinch of higher prices. Oh, you think? Their remarks come as sticky inflation, Biden inflation, poses a challenge for Main Street, Wall Street, and the Federal Reserve. I gotta call the BS on poses a challenge for the Federal Reserve. You mean the source of our problems, the corrupt, privately owned corporation that endlessly prints fiat currency that drives down our dollar? All right. Some of America's best-known corporations are saying their consumers are being pinched by inflation as prices continue to rise. Inflation has dominated corporate America's discourse over the past 3 years, following the pandemic-induced easing of monetary policy and trillions of dollars in COVID relief. Though the pace of price growth has cooled since the Federal Reserve began raising interest rates in early 2022, consumers are still feeling the squeeze and often tightening purse strings as costs continue climbing. It is clear that broad-based consumer pressure persist around the world, McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski said on the fast food chain's earnings call early Tuesday. The consumers continue to be even more discriminating with every dollar that they spend as they face elevated prices in their day-to-day spending. Sticky inflation has created a dark cloud over how everyday Americans perceive the health of the economy. Consumer confidence in April hits its lowest level since mid-2022, as high prices remain top of mind, according to data released Tuesday by the Conference Board. Workers' pay has continued rising, as evidenced by first quarter employment cost statistics released Tuesday. But so, too have the prices paid by the typical consumer, biting into the extra income from those higher wages. There we go again, y'all. There we go. That's a reoccurring theme. To be sure, but once again, the corporations got, they're dipping their hand in too. They're going to pay themselves first. To be sure, the rate of inflation has fallen significantly. The consumer price index, a broad basket of goods and services, rose at an annual rate of 3.5% in March compared with the same month a year ago.
That's you know what? Let me say something about that, because they said inflation fell. But here's the thing. I'm not sure. But I think they judge inflation against itself. So if inflation went up 100% last year, right? So it doubled. Right. And then it only went up 3% this year relative to last year. That's still 103%. Now, that's not 103% in the physical number, right? Because that wouldn't be the same. But you get what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
It didn't fall. Inflation didn't fall. We still got 100% inflation. So even if it only went up 3.5% now, that's still 100% plus 3.5%. That's not inflation falling. That's the rate of increase diminishing.
This is the same game the Democrats play when they'll say, inflation is 4% down than what it was 3 years ago. And it's like, well, 3 years ago, Biden was like his first year in office. Inflation starts to go up, and it came down from 9% to 3%. That's not a win. You
Right.
know, because you guys caused that very inflation.
It was unbearable 3 years ago. And so now it's just normal unbearable. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't a win, but they hope that people are more distracted by whatever else is going on in the world or do not understand the numbers and the data to be able to give this type of assessment.
Stockholm syndrome bearable. But anyway,
Completely.
That's far below the 40-year high of 9.1 seen in the mid-22, but remains above the 2% goal set by the Fed. So we're supposed to just we're supposed to be so thankful, Sire. Thank you, Master. Whose officials have pointed to stubborn inflation as the reason for keeping interest rates higher. And that tenacious 3.5% annual growth is souring economic sentiment. Even after a period of runaway inflation, prices don't actually fall. That's a problem for McDonald's and the hosts of other firms serving customers who are feeling sticker shock. Under pressure. At McDonald's, that was evidenced by same-store sales growth coming in slightly below Wall Street expectations. Kempczynski said that the Chicago-based company must be laser-focused on affordability to bring in diners as prices push away low-income consumers. Executives at 3M, the maker of Scotch tape and Post-it notes, they also make those breathing masks. Forgot it was like N95s or whatever. Also reported Tuesday, told analysts it's seen continued softness in consumer discretionary spend, while 3M earnings and revenue topped expectations in first quarter. Management said it anticipates consumer spending this year to be muted. Newell Brands CEO Chris Peterson on April 26th joined the chorus of the executives pointing to inflation as the main force bedeviling their businesses. Though the owner of Coleman and Rubbermaid products exceeded analysts' forecasts for the first 3 months of the year, the company issued soft guidance for current quarter earnings and said revenue is likely to decline. The categories we compete in remain under pressure, with consumers continuing to carefully manage their discretionary spend as a cumulative impact of inflation on food, energy, housing costs has outpaced wage and growth, Peterson said. But not all consumer-facing companies are feeling the heat. Colgate-Palmolive CEO Noel Wallace said on April 26th that volume growth has largely returned as inflation became more benign and pricing started to stabilize. At Coca-Cola, management has seen greater emphasis on value, saying the purchasing power of low-income consumers has taken a hit. Still, executives on the soft drinks earnings call Tuesday morning said that the American consumer across income strata remains in good shape. All right, so Conspiracy Brother, any final takeaways from this development in the food industry space?
So the Colgate Palmolive thing, right? Because they've been trying to say that, like, oh, Americans, like it was somebody, forget who it was. I don't think it was Jamie Dimon. I forget, it was like Larry Summers or something.
Mm-hmm.
He said the reason prices keep going up is because of the stubbornness of the American consumer. And he was trying to say it as a compliment, but I mean, if you have a brain, you understand he's gassing us up, as they say.
Right.
And what he was essentially trying to insinuate is the reason prices of things have continued to go up is because American people keep buying them. And my argument to that is people are buying things they need. The things that people don't need or cannot afford and don't need, they're not going to pay for. Right. So McDonald's is not a need, right? If you can get a cheaper burger from somewhere else, if you can get, a cheaper meal of some other kind from somewhere else, if it is cheaper for you to cook at home, you'll do that and you'll stop going to McDonald's. And so McDonald's has to decide whether they want customers or their own CEOs and board members and VPs and everybody to continue to be filthy rich. This is maybe 5-6 years ago. They were saying the CEO of McDonald's made something like $1,500 times more money per year than the average McDonald's employee or some shit like that. Pardon my French. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He has been making money hand over fist. Been making money hand over. Even go to White Castle. A double White Castle is like $1 now. I remember when double White Castle was 55 cents.
Yep.
You could go get you 2 double White Castles, a sack of fries, and a drink. And it'd be like $6. Maybe $7. Maybe $7. Depending if you got mozzarella sticks or something.
Mm-hmm.
And now a double White Castle might even be $1.20 or $1.30. And the sack of fries is like $5.
Mm-hmm.
So, they want to make it like, oh, well, they want to, the same way that we talk about, and this is something I'd like people who consider themselves anti-establishment to understand. The same way that they're trying to make us eat bugs and garbage and destroy our families is the same way they don't want you to be able to afford to buy anything. Tesla, I was watching a video about ownership. It was talking about how all these different companies, have taken away the right to repair, and that it was either a state or it was at the federal level. They're trying to initiate a right to repair law because, like, with printers, office printers,
right?
They're all electronically controlled, like with Wi-Fi and stuff. And so what the company will do is they will like brick your printer if you don't pay for ink, because that's really how they make the money. That's why they can give you printers for free, like all those years that when you buy a laptop, we'll give you a free printer, or you buy a computer, we'll give you a free printer, or whatever. The reason they sell printers so cheap is because they know they'll get you back on the ink. Even like Tesla. Tesla has it now set up where they have software in their cars that if you don't pay a certain amount of money, they will diminish the capacity of your battery. So let's say, your battery held a capacity of, I'll just use hours for the sake of argument, because I don't know how you measure the capacity of batteries. What do you like, kilowatt hours or what? But let's say your battery in your car had an 8-hour runtime. That was what, if you were driving it for 8 hours, then you'd have to recharge it. They have something where they can artificially affect the capacity of your battery unless you pay more money, that they can say, okay, your battery runs out. You only have a 6-hour runtime capacity now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of dystopian future we live in.
Yeah.
Right? Tesla's already terrible because they make you buy certain features for your car a la carte. For example, if you buy a car, if you had a Tesla and you bought it and you had it fully loaded and you sold it to me and I bought it from you, all the features that you had unlocked when you bought it fully loaded, self-driving or assisted driving or autonomous driving mode, cruise control, all these different things, I would have to repurchase them again. They wouldn't be unlocked permanently like with a typical car where, I buy a car fully loaded, a normal car fully loaded, whatever features I bought, power seats, power windows, leather seats, heated steering wheel, a dual climate control. Those are already unlocked permanently because those are hardwired hardware features on my car. In Teslas, it's not like that. You see what I'm saying? They're trying to literally destroy us at every turn. And because we are enmeshed with this idea of capitalism and freedom, we allow this monopoly, this oligarchy, this kleptocracy to exist. We have to understand that these institutions and these entities don't have our best interests in mind. We have to understand that. We have to be willing to understand that and try to fight against it.
Amen. Yeah, and just learn and just kind of remembering that for every problem they create, they manufacture a solution as well, and they all work together. Not to get to like black pill conspiracy, but at the same time, like the COVID, just how the vaccine makers, they depend on the fast food industry to keep people sick. So they go run into the hospitals and then try and provide all the pharmaceutical solutions without any of the natural remedies that could fix the problem. So yeah, great point, conspiracy brother. I'm glad we're able to break that down. It's good to always, instead of just all the culture war stuff, we break down into these kitchen table issues, because these are the very things that's affecting us, all Americans, every day. Black folks especially, or even more disproportionately. So with that, I want to get to. I know we got to talk the COVID vaccine, but I feel like there's a fun little article that I think we could hit on real quick. Nothing too heavy. I think there's a video I have pulled up from it, and then we can get. I guess the Gaza campus protest stuff's dying down. I mean, but I want to talk about this. Did you hear about this? The man with the suspended license who ended up joining court call.
Oh yeah, man. I didn't watch the video because it said Michigan, and I said, man, we don't need this. We don't need this. We already have so much that we have to deal with. We don't need this. But yeah,
it's too bad. And I read the articles, but I don't know. This is my first time seeing it, like as far as like the video. So let's take a look real quick. So those guys don't know, I think the original article was from MLive. They're a Ann Arbor publication. So Michigan can kind of sometimes be like Florida, like a Florida man, But every state has their share of shame. So so this is originally I believe from MLive, and basically this dude. Some guy had a court case to set it up where he had a suspended license and it was due to appear in court via video. And this Negro joined on video while driving a car. You're in court. You have a court case on driving with a suspended license. And he shows up on video, on Zoom, driving a car on video. So the first thing I'm gonna just say is like, why didn't you just pull over, bro? This dude driving the doctor's appointment. Why didn't you just pull over, go outside, and just be like, yeah, I'm in a park, But let's just watch this, because this is it's a friend of mine follows this guy online. But let's go ahead and just watch the insanity here. It's only like a few minutes.
Court calls case People versus Corey Harris.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Tate for Mr. Harris, who should be present, is due.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
You stationary?
This guy.
Right now, at this second, yes, I am.
All right. What are we doing?
Your Honor, we are respectfully requesting an adjournment in this matter, up possibly 2 to 4 weeks if the court would allow.
This guy.
Okay. So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving. And
you see his face. You see it in his face. You see it coming over him like.
The judge said, and he was just driving.
Did you see it in Corey's face? Like the look, his face turning.
Yeah.
Oh, this is some nigga shit, man. I'm sorry, YouTube might get censored. It's some nigga shit, but let's watch the rest.
Man, oh man.
Oh man.
With the charges, Your Honor.
no.
Oh,
charges,
man.
Your Honor, yes.
No, I'm looking at his record. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Try to raise his hand.
This guy, man.
Yeah.
Hello?
1 minute, Mr. Harris.
Damn.
I don't even know why he would do that. So, defendant's bond is revoked in this matter. Defendant has turned himself into the Washington County Jail by 6 p.m. today. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond.
I just don't understand how he thought that was smart to do.
After seeing it, I've listened to this video a couple of times over a podcast, but just seeing it, I'm like, is this like? It felt so staged. Like, who does this? Is this some sort of like they're trying to punk the judge? But yeah, I get your point. Like, why didn't he just? I felt like he could have even been off video, or maybe he had to be on video. But nigga, why didn't you just pull over?
Right? Why didn't you just say I'm the passenger? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I give him credit for not lying.
I mean, with him, in fact, he even had the seatbelt on. You could have stopped the car, sit in the passenger seat at a minimum.
Right.
But as he's driving, like you could see his hand moving in the driver. I think you can kind of tell he's working the steering column. So,
right, and now we've got that law here where you can't even touch your phone while you're driving. Like, you have to only be able to operate it from a hands-free, one-finger mode. So you can't hold your phone at all. Now, I'm not saying he's holding his phone,
right?
But what I am saying is, it is unlikely that you logged into this court this much before your hearing, and you didn't do it while you were driving. But all he had to do, and like I said, I mean, I guess I could give him credit for not lying and owning up to what he was doing. But you were driving, so you broke the law.
Yeah.
So it's not even like I can't even give you that much credit, because if anything, you did it out of stupidity and not out of any sense of morality.
So he now has 2 counts against him. There's already a court case for him having I think he already had a man with a suspended driver's license. So he already had that case, and he caught a whole new case live on Zoom. Like, should we go to the comments? Oh man, we gotta read a few comments. If you ever wanted a perfect example of stupid, that guy is it. $20 says he drives himself to the police department too. All right, this comments are kind of brutal, and not to put a black man down, but I'm sorry, bro. You were stupid in this case. I give my people plenty of shine, but we gotta call out the BS too. Conspiracy brother, anything else to add? This is
I mean, again, I think this adequately illustrates some points that I've made throughout this video. You got some really stupid people who can vote, who can drive, who just are out in the world as free people. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be. I'm not saying that, apart from the fact that he's broken a law, that he shouldn't be a free person or whatever. I'm just saying, we have a tendency to think that everybody is like everybody we know.
Yeah.
That the world, that our circle of friends and acquaintances is representative of the wider world around us. That ain't the case. We got some real dummies out there, real dummies. And some of us are real dummies. And we don't know it yet. We need to be mindful of all that all the time and be constantly trying to improve and educate ourselves about what's going on. Because we got some real dummies out there, and they can drive cars, and they have kids, and they own firearms, and all manner of dangerous things that could affect our lives accidentally, not even maliciously, but just accidentally, unintentional. So I'll just leave it at that. She whiz.
Yep. All right. So moving on, I think before we get to the COVID vaccine hitting mainstream, due to AstraZeneca, I think Chris Cuomo. Let's just finish up. I had a few articles. Well, just maybe we could go over one. But obviously the Gaza campus protests are kind of, lightning. Let's do this instead of just looking up something that's old. We can really quick just go to Gaza campus protests and see what's still going on. But I feel like it's pretty died down at this point. I know the big one was UCLA where they had a bunch of arrests. But it's still happening out there. So, Conspiracy Brother, you still have any thoughts on the recent protests? I think particularly for me, I know a lot of them kind of took me back a little bit to Occupy Wall Street, and I think there was that thing of like at Hamilton Hall, they did the barricades, and then at the same time they were asking like, can we get some food? Like, it's kind of like, hey, we're fighting for this, we're gonna hold it down, but can you bring us some food? And I get it. They were maybe trying to get food to be brought in for them, and then due to it being barricaded, due to the police surrounding it and trying to get them to leave, they had every right to block it. But I can't help but feel like if these were Trump supporters, if this is MAGA going to college campuses, going into the Capitol and creating barricades and like occupying the place versus cops are waving and letting them in and they're taking pictures and they're walking through the Capitol within the velvet rope, I feel like it's bullshit. It's kind of like you're trying to fight and be these revolutionaries, but at the end of the day, you have there's this weird entitlement with a lot of these sort of pro-campus, a lot of these pro-Palestine people to go to campus. They're paid by NGOs. They're what Tim Pool calls the tourists. So they get paid to go to these different spots, these different campuses across the country. They're professional paid protesters. They go in there and train the students on how to do all these tactics, how to occupy and all that stuff. So they try and claim they're like this revolutionary fighting the system. But when they're backed by NGOs, George Soros, then they're like part of the system. So it's just a weird dichotomy. I kind of just wanted to address that. There's not like a particular article I wanted to touch on. I mean, we can kind of we can maybe click on this one real quick. Oh, I like this.
Hey, I just want to let you know I just read something.
Yeah.
So they said the guy in the video, his name is Corey Harris, I think. I know his last name is Harris. He actually had his license suspended, but it was ordered to be the suspension was to be lifted 2 years ago. And so Saginaw County, so he's in Saginaw or Flint area. And the friend of the court is why he got it suspended, because I guess it's a custody issue. But it was supposed to be lifted, and the Secretary of State said they never got the notification. I sent the article to our group chat. I can send it here if you want, but we don't need to read it. But it was just
put it in the group chat, and then also post it in the private chat too.
So they were saying that, basically his license shouldn't even still be suspended. It should have already been resolved. So the suspension that he got from the judge here shouldn't be applicable because his license shouldn't still be suspended. Now, he was having a traffic stop. So, that was a problem. But let's see if this is it.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Well, that didn't pull up the full clip like I just had.
Yeah, let me get through this. This seems like a shorter read. Well, I'm gonna just read. It's behind the paywall, but this kind of goes into what I was talking about. We could touch back on the suspended drivers.
Before we get on this, right? Before we get on who's funding them, just let me give a comment beforehand. You say, hey, who's funding these campus protesters? Whatever. Let's say there is some nefarious group funding these campus protesters. Let's just say, who cares? I still should be able to criticize Israel if I want to. That's the underlying issue with this. Nobody's attacking American citizens of Jewish descent. Nobody's attacking America itself or these universities.
Well, to push back a little bit, there were some incidents. Once again, it was mainly just protests. But then when you have it where people can't walk in and out of their own living space, when you had issues of people being pushed, people were like physically. Once you get into touching, there were some incidents of that. I want to call that stuff out, but I feel you. Like, is the freedom of assembly, protests. If you're out there saying whatever you say, if I don't agree with, I'm all down for that. But there have been some incidences of it. Once again, whether it's agitators, whether it's feds, these things tend to happen. We want to call that out. That is happening,
right? But we can't, like you said, we can't discount that there aren't agitators, right? We don't know, right? Just like with the January 6th thing, the U.S. government still will not acknowledge how many people in the FBI were involved.
Exactly.
Right?
You gotta call it out on both sides.
How long did Ray Epps take before any charges were brought against him? Then he was charged for something that was like 6 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then think about the Governor Whitmer stuff. The plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer there was more FBI agents involved in the plot than regular people. The FBI organized it. They orchestrated it, right? And so I'm not saying that there aren't some people at this protest who may have pushed against some Jewish people.
Right.
But what I'm saying is the protest largely is against the state of Israel. And I, as an American citizen, should be able to comment, complain about, criticize, or critique any country that we pay for as an American citizen. We give Israel billions of dollars a year. And I should be able to say whatever the hell I want to about them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have special privileges. And this is something that Candace Owens talks about, dealing with the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro. And somebody else was talking about it, specifically with Ben Shapiro, where he wanted to give this whole, facts don't care about your feelings and we don't have safe spaces and all this stuff. I played the clip here where Ben Shapiro was beating up Ben Shapiro was beating up new Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Because when it's something that's important to him, all that's out the door. Then we need to have safe spaces and whatever. If you're not feeling safe, go back to Israel or go back to wherever you come from. If you're not feeling safe in America, but you don't get to tell us that we don't get to exercise our First Amendment rights. If the Klan can walk down the street and have rallies and stuff in America, then people can protest Israel. And they do. When I lived in Georgia, they had Klan rallies. And that's a protected act under the Constitution, a First Amendment right of association and speech. But who controls us? Jimmy Dore always says this: whoever you can't criticize is who controls you. You can't criticize who? The LGBT? You can't criticize Israel. That's who controls our government. Those are the factions that control our government. You see what I'm saying? And so, don't physically attack anybody. Be peaceful. But at the end of the day, if people are protesting the state of Israel in America, especially the fact that, you look at Israel's economy. Without the money that we give Israel, what's going on with their economy now? That country couldn't exist. Whatever intelligence resources they have, whatever military capabilities they have, or military industrial complex related entities that they have in that country, it's not enough to sustain that country without our backing. We're paying for, I've said this before, we're paying for other countries to have things that we can't even have in this country. Israel is considered one of the, I don't know about now, but 6 months ago, it was considered one of the happiest countries on the earth. They were happier than the United States. We fund them billions of dollars a year, and their citizens are happier than our own. That's a problem. If you're that happy, you should be able to take care of yourself. As Tariq Nasheed says, hold your own nuts. But But I'll let you go.
No, for sure. No, I mean, this article in general is behind a paywall anyway, but I think you kind of pretty much summed it up on how, like, once again, like free speech, whether you're critical of Israel, I got plenty of smoke for them. Critical of even the pro-Hamas people, I got smoke for them as well. They still have the right to say whatever they want to say, even if we don't agree with it, even if it push back against our beliefs, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, obviously, we got to account for when things get escalated, things go too far. And like you mentioned, we got to account for like what feds or agitators are in there causing it and whatnot. I will say though, a tactic that a lot of the far leftists, even going back to like Occupy Wall Street, a lot of the things that they do is where they do tend to, like, even if it's like police presence or whatnot, they tend to take new people, like newer college campus students who are kind of just new to the scene. They're on campus. They just want to be involved in something. They'll get, new students that kind of come to the crowd, begin protesting. And then it could be an agitator. It could be, like I mentioned, like the tourist or whatever who works for the NGO. They'll rile things up. They'll start pushing somebody next to a cop. Next thing you know, the cop is beating up people, arresting the whole group of protesters. And they do this, and I'm saying all cases, but in some cases they do this intentionally, where all of a sudden that student who was protesting for the first time, or they come to a few events, they're getting thrown in jail because something that one of the leaders of the protest agitated intentionally to get them thrown in jail. Be like, oh man, they're sitting in jail. Like, oh man, I've never been in jail before. I can't believe this happened. We were just protesting. And then the leader's like, yeah, cops are bad, right? Yeah, see what they do? We were just protesting. I'm not saying in all cases, but this is a known NGO activist strategy where they want to radicalize newcomers and kind of induct them into this by giving them the treatment of getting arrested, and then be like, yeah, see how we got arrested? See how bad that was? When they agitated the group to get arrested in the first place. And now they come out radicalized. Now they come out, yeah, that's why all caps are bad. Once again, I'm not backing the blue in all situations. There's plenty of issues with the police that we need to hold them accountable. We need to call BS on them. But that is a tactic that they do use from Occupy Wall Street, from a lot of the protests going on. I'm not saying that's in all the cases when people get arrested, but that's something I just do want to call out. But still, I'm all about free speech. I'm all about say what they want to say. But a lot of these occupations and these arrests going on with the campus protests, while it's cooling down, there's definitely a lot of that foolery going on both sides. But yeah, let's pop into this. So, Conspiracy Brother, you want to read this final article? After this, we just got the COVID vaccine. We could kind of end on that, on the AstraZeneca and the developments and Chris Cuomo. But yeah, if you want to pop into this article, and then we can kind of,
Okay, so we don't have to read the whole thing because it's kind of long. But why was the driver in a viral video's license still suspended 2 years after a judge ordered it lifted? Friend of the court never sent over clearance for Corey Harris's license to be reinstated. It's from Carolyn Craig at WXYZ7. So scroll down, Southfield. The video of Corey Harris that went viral has garnered a lot of laughs, but it is no joke for Harris, who is trying to understand how he even ended up being charged with driving while license suspended. The suspension is tied to a child support case with Saginaw County Friend of the Court. And in January 2022, a judge ordered that suspension be lifted to allow Harris to drive again.
I just want to screenshot this in case I forget. All right.
Harris recently appeared on a courtroom video that showed him driving during a virtual hearing on the misdemeanor case that stemmed from a traffic stop in Pittsfield Township in October 2023.
Oh, it also says, but according to the Michigan Secretary of State's office, they never received a clearance from the Friend of the Court in 2022. So Harris suspension was never lifted.
Right. So I just read that in October. Harris said he was driving his wife to the doctor because her medical condition was worsening. Once Judge Cedric Simpson noticed Harris driving, he asked the attorney who was representing Harris in this courtroom. The defense attorney confirmed that driving on a suspended license was indeed the charge Harris is facing. What's unclear is why Harris why Harris's case wasn't resolved by his public defender or the Pittsfield Township Prosecutor's Office months ago. It took less than 5 minutes for 7 News Detroit to search Saginaw County court records to see that in January of 2022, a judge rescinded the order that suspended Harris's driver's license so he could be reinstated. 7 News Detroit has reached out to the prosecutor's office as well as Harris's defense attorney's office. And speaking on the public defender's office, a county spokesperson said they do not comment on ongoing court cases. The Saginaw County friend of the court has also not responded to our calls, but Friday afternoon, the Secretary of State's office confirmed that they never received the clearance from the friend of the court that would have allowed him to be reinstated after he paid some fees. So there's a program called Road to Restoration. I don't know if you want to keep reading it. I will keep reading it. But
No, we don't got to.
But I mean, we could post a link to the article in the description in case,
Oh yeah, it is a long one. Yeah. But I'll give you my initial thoughts. Basically, unfortunately, it's something we see time again, where the system, the incompetent administrative system, government, fails on little things like this. It's sad. I mean, it made for a funny joke, but I feel like if Corey did everything he needed to do on his end, where he was state to get it reinstated, now they're saying Michigan Secretary of State that never received the clearance. That's a clerical issue, and the state, as incompetent as it probably is, it was probably their fault. It ended up being their fault. So it's sad that once again, this goes back to the system kind of always having something, And once again, I like to take some share of personal responsibility in things like this, but sometimes, like it's showing, this is the court's fault. This is people at the different agencies not doing what they're supposed to do. And it's unfortunate he's in this situation now, and obviously went viral for the wrong reasons.
Right.
So I would just say, hey, if he did everything he was supposed to do at his end, yeah, I mean, he might even be able to. He could probably get the stuff dismissed now.
Right.
Back it does what he's supposed to do. But it turns out maybe he didn't send in a piece of paperwork or do something at his end. That's on him. But I feel like it's likely just the incompetence of the agencies, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so, again, we have American citizens who have issues concerning their own freedoms and, constitutionally protected rights or whatever. And you want to give billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine. You want to give Ukraine the authorization to bomb inside of Russia and bring us closer to World War III. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with that. Everybody fight their own battles. If the United States government would back off and just stay out of it, the majority of these problems would be solved. At the very least, we wouldn't be invested in them because they're not our problem. They're not our problem. We have problems here at home. Ineffective government, inefficient governmental processes. Those are problems for us. Fix that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Don't worry about Ukraine. Don't worry about Israel. Worry about America. America first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Facts. Facts. All right. Well, wishing Corey Harris a speedy recovery to be back on the road with that L. These things happen, so hopefully he'll bounce back. All right. So last thing we have here, something we meant to touch on last time, but we're starting to see, and we don't have to click on a particular article, but we're starting to see the slow rescinding and walking back of the COVID vaccine, and how a lot of things that certain people were talking about 2 to 3 years ago is coming to pass, like AstraZeneca getting pulled. Chris Cuomo, who's still a douchebag propagandist from CNN or MSNBC, and then he's now got a new gig in News Nation, and it's a host on Patrick Bet-David's podcast. You know, he's still a prick in my book, but now he's on the bandwagon talking about, oh, I got injured from this vaccine. Oh, you know, I'm talking with this patient who claims they got injured and whatnot. I believe the patient or whatever. You know, Cuomo I still don't trust with a 10-foot stick, but a lot of the chickens are coming home to roost now. It's amazing. You now have New York Times, of all people, the biggest propagators, mouthpiece, propagandists of this vaccine and the establishment, now starting to talk about the vaccine and the different side effects. So I got a lot to say on this. I don't know if there's a particular article. These are all like NY Times articles, but I think I've said this before, and I think Andy Frisella said this as well, is that they're starting to roll everything they can at Trump, and they're eventually going to use this COVID vaccine card because Trump still wouldn't denounce the vaccine. He'll still say, I'm not for vaccine mandates, but he still says Operation Warp Speed was amazing. And, you know, nobody rushed it out faster than us, and blah, blah, blah. And he's still taking credit for it and talking about how great it was. And they're going to use this. I'm telling you, this is a card they have. Even if Trump's in jail or, you know, whatever it is, I feel like they're still going to use this as a card to say, hey, look, they bring out all the excess deaths data, all the injuries, and they say this is Trump's fault. This is Trump's vaccine. He was president under the Operation Warp Speed. He pushed it. He was still praising the vaccine just weeks ago. This is all Trump's fault. That's what Andy Frisella was warning about. That's what many of us were warning about for Trump. And here it is, where they're starting to let it seep out on AstraZeneca. And then all these other people that are coming up and claiming they've been injured. So I've seen it. I read enough of these articles or you know, even over the past few years. So I already know a lot of this stuff in and out. But Conspiracy Brother, I think this would be a very fitting topic for us to close on, because we were way ahead talking about this 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And now the chickens are coming home to roost. So Conspiracy Brother, your thoughts on this I told you so development?
Yeah, Dave Smith actually debated Chris Cuomo about this on Patrick Bet-David's podcast like yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
I was listening to it today.
How did Chris doing a lot of ducking and dodging and deflecting?
Yeah.
And acting like, oh, that didn't happen?
Yeah. Well, he's not acting like, well, yeah, he did. And it's funny because they pull up videos of him saying stuff. So like he's getting caught in real time. So it's nice. A part of me, I get frustrated with this, like they call it debate bro culture, where you have like dudes like, hey, debate me, bro. And it's like, all right, bro, I'm done with it. But at the same time, I think this was useful because it shows you that people like Chris Cuomo don't have any integrity, right? They try to pretend they have integrity because now you got a show on News Nation and you're dealing with Patrick Bet-David. But what really is happening is the money that you get from independent media and smaller media that's more tailored towards a independent thinking individual is conducive to you having these views. But Dave Smith really pressed him hard about, you know, accepting that you should apologize for what you did. He wouldn't apologize for the way he acted. And he even admitted that he takes ivermectin now. Right. And I mean, I think you should give it a watch. I really do. I think you'd enjoy it.
I see the clips. Pull it up.
But yeah, I mean, who's surprised by this? You literally had, like I tell people, and I was telling people when this went down, oh, are you going to get shot? No. Let me tell you why. For the same reason I don't get the brand new phone when it comes out, because there's always bugs in it. You know, remember when the Note, I think it was the Note 8 came out, and it was exploding on people.
Mm-hmm.
It was exploding in people's pockets.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so you're going to get a medical procedure done or a vaccine that you can't even control? No, man, I'm not doing that. How I said it, how I looked at it. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. Because I'm not getting this shot. And when the vaccine, I have a cousin who's a doctor, and I actually talked to her about vaccine mandates in 2020. You know, like around Marchish, when they were talking about, oh, this vaccine ready. There's like nobody thought it was suspicious that you had a vaccine ready for a novel virus. But I said, hey, do they make y'all get vaccinated at work? Because you're a doctor, you work in a hospital. And she said, no, they don't make you get any shots. Like you don't have to get a flu shot. You just have to sign some kind of paperwork or whatever, acknowledging that you understand the risks or whatever. I said, oh, okay. Because I already knew they were going to try to do a vaccine mandate. I knew it. I could just see it. And people were like, no. My wife even asked me. She was like, what's going to happen, you know? If your job makes you get it, what are you going to do? I said, they're going to have to fire me. I'm not getting it. You know? And a lot of people did. I had a coworker, man. He really wanted me to get it. And I take it as his concern for me. I do. I take it as his concern for me. So I don't fault him for trying to convince me to do it. But like, America don't give anything away for free.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're giving away free shots. You won't give people free insulin. You don't give people free inhalers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just did a video talking about how dangerous our food is relative to France. And you think I'm going to take a free shot? Remember like 2007 or 8 when McDonald's had KFC had that grilled chicken, and they were like, yeah, Oprah's buying everybody lunch, and you could print off these coupons to get lunch. And at first it was like, it's just for one day only. Tomorrow at like lunchtime, everybody can go. And then it evolved into this week-long thing or month-long thing where you could print off as many coupons as you wanted, and you could just get as much free. I never tasted the chicken. Even to this day, I've never tasted their grilled chicken. But I was going to get it when it was just for like the next day at lunch. But I'm like, I don't have time. And then they were like, it's all week. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll check it out the next day. And then it was like, it's all month. And I'm like, oh, hell no. KFC ain't giving away free chicken. Oprah ain't bought that much chicken. And KFC ain't giving away free food. They sell chicken. You're not giving away free chicken if the chicken is good. You're not doing
something wrong
with this.
Something off.
Like this. Like what the U.S. government is trying to spread the LGBTQ message to the Caribbean, you know, and to East Africa and stuff like that, where they want to have LGBT, the gay flag on the. They want to have the gay flag on embassy buildings. And what I've told people is America does not export anything to the world that is good or valuable to us as a nation. They don't do it. So if this gay stuff was any benefit to anybody, they wouldn't share it. They'd keep it to themselves. You're not trying to share infrastructure to Africa or the Caribbean. You're not trying to share water purification centers for these places. You know what I mean? These people are still exploited financially. And, you know, they have the closest thing that we've got to slavery. One of the examples, because there's still other examples, one of the examples of something that is akin to slavery is the Dole fruit farms in Kenya. To this day, you're not trying to do anything about that, but you expect me to believe you're exporting LGBT equality? No, bro. And so the same with these shots. It's a matter of time. Why, if your product is good, why do you need to have liability protection? You know what I'm saying? Because what you're doing is good. It's already tested. It's safe. You should be willing to, hey, my product is so good and safe. If anybody has any problems, we'll pay for their medical care for the rest of their life. But no, they don't do that. They wouldn't give the vaccines to countries that wouldn't grant them immunity.
It's true.
So AstraZeneca, piece of crap. Pfizer, piece of crap. The CEO of Pfizer, this Dr. Borla, who sounds like a James Bond villain, the Greek guy, he's a veterinarian. He's not even a people doctor. So all the whole time when Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, I'm taking ivermectin, everybody called it horse dewormer and said he was taking horse paste. The guy who was the CEO of Pfizer is a veterinarian. He's not even a people doctor. Moderna never made a profit until COVID happened. They have been around for like 10, 15 years, and they never made a profit until COVID hit. Like in the words of that meme from Umar Johnson, isn't that suspicious?
Moderna
that suspicious?
Moderna was brand new. It was a brand new company. Never even took anything to market.
Well, yeah, it wasn't brand new though. It was still, like I'm saying, like between like 10 and 15 years old, because I think it was founded in 2004. But that whole time, they had never produced a product.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, they were brand new to like bringing anything to market. Yep.
At least Pfizer has made other things. Moderna had never even made a product before. And you think I'm about to take their stuff? I'm gonna be the test dummy? Hell no.
People taking those shots and getting Moderna tattooed. I love Pfizer.
And that's the thing, man. Everybody want to own somebody. You want to own. You guys are stupid. You want to own somebody. And so you own yourself because now you sick. Your heart's grown too big. And now you sick. Because you wanted to own me. I'm fine. I'm as healthy as I ever been. Maybe better. I don't have spike protein surging through my body, leaving thick, hard, white, fibrous pustules and globules in my veins.
Hashtag died suddenly. Check out the documentary. That's what's coming for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Right. But you wanted to own somebody instead of saying, hey, if this is what you want to do, this is your right, and this is what I'm going to do to take this precaution. And, you know, I hope you well. I wish you well. I hope you safety and health. All these different people wanted to make jokes. Oh, well, you know, if you don't get vaccinated, you shouldn't be able to go to the doctor. All right. Y'all don't have none of these stipulations for people who smoke. People could go smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol all day long. And don't nobody say, hey, man, if you smoke, you shouldn't be able to go to the doctor. And I'm not saying that I'm arguing that. What I'm saying is somebody who smokes, you're actively poisoning yourself. And we don't say that. Everybody out here walking around with a vape pen or a vape like little crackheads. And we don't say, hey, this is weird. Maybe this shouldn't be legal. Every time you go somewhere, and I hope I'm not offending you, but I'm just suspicious of the vapes because you see them literally everywhere. They're everywhere. And that's just, that kind of uniformity of anything makes me nervous. Because you just a couple years ago were saying, hey, we're going to ban vapes that have flavor pouches because the jewels, because they make children want to use them. And now every vape you see, them little Breeze vapes, everybody got those little Breeze vapes. And they're all flavored. So what was the deal? Was that all a plan? Because I heard that the vape companies were owned by like Philip Morris and all the cigarette manufacturers. Is that true? You know what I'm saying? Is that true? The people who are responsible for trying to get rid of vapes actually bought the vape companies and now they make the vapes. So the cigarette manufacturers aren't losing money because they own the vape companies who people are replacing cigarettes with. This country doesn't do anything for free that's good. Get that out of your mind. Nothing in this country that's free is good. Not willingly. Maybe if you fight and kill some people and go to war, maybe. But nothing for free in this country is good. They don't just give it to you out the kindness of their heart. It's got to be a battle. AstraZeneca they requested to pull their vaccine from the market. Yeah. They requested it. Johnson & Johnson was forced to pull their vaccine from the market. Nobody's buying Moderna and Pfizer anymore. And I don't know if they've been forced to, but you have people whose hearts are being destroyed, having strokes, all kind of issues. And nobody's going to be held accountable. Now they want you, oh, it's China. That's what Chris Cuomo kept saying. It's China's fault. We want to blame Dr. Fauci and all this and all that. And it's China's fault. It ain't China's fault. Who gave China the money to do this? Who gave China the vaccines to do this with, to mess with this virus? Anthony Fauci should be put under the jail. And Francis Collins should be put under the jail. And everybody who support Joe Biden, everybody who supported these policies that are killing people. Raquel, what's her name? She was the head of the CDC. I think she stepped down.
Rochelle somebody. Yeah.
Rochelle Walensky. Yeah.
Rochelle Walensky, yep.
Under the jail. They should be put under the jail. That, what's her name? What's her name? The Chinese doctor at CNN?
Lana Wen. Yeah.
Under the jail.
She was heavy.
It's so interesting to me how these people from China and these communist countries come to America and they're instituting authoritarianism so hard.
Oh yeah, she was on CNN capping hard for like, yeah, these people that aren't vaccinated, we gotta let them know, like, hey, if you don't get vaccinated, you can't ride on a train, you can't fly on a plane, like just out in the open with it. And then
exactly.
I think she ended up having a kid. Ended up having some breathing problems. Like a couple years later, she was saying how, well, looking back, the mask issues, we could have done some things different. My son now has like some sort of anxiety, psychological issue. And it's like, well, that's what you had coming, bitch. That's what you know, hey.
Yeah. Well, and she also realized that it affected his learning, right? Because so many kids lost a step from having to do school online, looking at masks instead of looking at mouths to learn to speak. So they lost steps in math, reading, all kind of stuff. And her son is affected by it. You thought, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm safe, I'm rich, I live in some exclusive neighborhood or whatever. And it still didn't work. Your child is still affected. We're going to have generations of children who are destroyed by the effects of this virus and the policies that the government undertook as a result. They're going to be completely destroyed. People are going to be completely destroyed from a lie, and nobody's going to be held accountable. These people need to be sent to The Hague and brought to trial at an international court like they did the Nazis after World War II, and then they need to be hanged publicly.
Nuremberg 2.0.
We can all see it.
Nuremberg 2.0 is well in order. Long overdue.
Right. These people need to be hanged because of crimes against humanity. Anthony Fauci sat there and lied to Congress, repeatedly to the Senate, repeatedly to Rand Paul. He just gets to leave, retire, and still he gets to blend into the background. He spent 2 years or almost 3 years in front of a camera. You couldn't go somewhere without seeing his face. Now that the truth is coming out, oh, don't try to bully Dr. Fauci. Don't try to make a monster out of him. It's not all his fault. We were all just trying our best. No, you weren't trying your best. You were literally believing a cult and calling it science. I don't forgive these people. I don't forgive them. Now, if you ask me for forgiveness, and I know, like my coworker, we talked and he was, he apologized. I accept his apology. I know him personally.
Right.
And I know that what he was doing came from a place of concern. But all these other people, like Samuel Jackson said in The Time to Kill, yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in
hell. Exactly.
God forgives. I don't. So I'll let you, if you want to say anything. I know I kind of was a little apt, but that's just how I feel about it. You were trying to destroy people, and you have succeeded in destroying a lot of people, and that is not cool. I don't forgive you. If I didn't have more testicular fortitude, my children would be at risk. My family would be at risk. I would be at risk.
No, based. I think you kind of summed it up, and I think it's just an overlying theme, especially the last 3-4 years with COVID. Because once again, like most of my family, they're kind of just, CNN, MSNBC, watching leftists. Don't even know they're like Democrat first over they hold Democrat on the idol pedestal over their Christianity, over their blackness. They're Democrat first, you know, and they just kind of, a lot of them just lock, you know, and once again, you know, just kind of just go along with what the narrative is. So I think we all kind of feel that frustration, and especially with, you know, and I remember like early on last year, they were talking about pandemic amnesty. You know, we have to learn to forgive. You know, this is all the people that were the loudest tyrants, yelling at people to wear a mask, yelling at people to get vaccinated. We hope you die because you didn't get vaccinated. Those are the same people that backpedal around and they put their head down. They act like they didn't have that position. They delete their tweets. They change articles. They're hoping nobody notices. But we got the screenshots. We got the receipts. So that's what scares me the most, because you can't really ever look at them the same way again. Because like you mentioned, they had no testicular fortitude. So what's to say, as much as you say, oh, I'm sorry, the ones that even admit they're sorry, but most people that kind of just act like it didn't happen, they didn't act that way. I can't even begin to trust you. If you apologize and said, hey, I was wrong, I had this concern for you, I was scared, I realized I kind of took the fear mongering too far, that I can at least look at you with a little bit of grace and maybe trust you again. But the ones that just act like nothing happened, I have no sort of way to know when you'll become my enemy again, where the next big psyop, where the media, whoever fear mongers you to fall in line. You know, kids are dying of this new H5N1. There's this avian bird flu. Kids are dying. And once again, maybe it, and they maybe will probably release one where there is a very high rate where children are affected or killed. Even then, I'm going to look at the same people that acted the way they did during COVID that are now acting quiet or acting like they weren't that way. Those are the same ones that will turn on us again. And I will never forgive. I can maybe forgive one day, but I will never forget that, because you showed me who you were then, and that's going to show me exactly who you can be when this happens again. And that's why I can't trust you or people like you that did that. So I just wanted to kind of end my plane there.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I agree with what you're saying 100%, you know, because, and this is why these people are untrustworthy allies, because the next time the next thing comes, the next time the government says, hey, we're going to institute something else, you know, we're going to do something else, y'all going to bite it hook, line, and sinker. And I'm going to have to be fighting for my life again because you guys are brainless idiots.
Yeah. Couldn't have summed it any better. But all right, y'all. We're wrapping up. I gotta head out in a few. We can just wrap it up right now. But yeah, Conspiracy Brother, episode 26 is in the bag. Thank you guys for listening and watching. I want to
guests.
Oh yeah. And I want to shout out Militant Sistah, as well as None Dare Call It Conspiracy. Give her a follow on YouTube. None Dare Call It Conspiracy. That's None with N-U-N. You know, so, you know, she dodges that little, you know, trademark, you know, copyright, you know, hang
now
up.
what you can do, you can on YouTube, when you do the link, you can actually tag her. So it'll tag her. You can tag her name on it. And it'll link to her
That's
page.
right. Yeah, I'll link it, and also maybe link it in the description notes as well. But yeah, great episode. Chopped up a lot. And we'll be back in 2 weeks on the weekends. Right now we're streaming between Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Once again, just depends on our availability. We got work, we got life, we got family going on. So just trying to work all that in between. But yeah, we'll be back the second weekend in June, streaming at a certain time. And who knows where the world will be then. So Conspiracy Brothers, a pleasure as always. And
great to be here. Great to share with you. Great to be able to fellowship and all this truth. And you know, glad to have this conversation bi-weekly, or what is it, bi-monthly? No, bi-weekly, right?
Bi-weekly right now. Yeah.
Bi-weekly, right. So eventually, the more we go, I mean, we're over a quarter of the way to 100 officially today. This is over a quarter of the way to 100 videos.
Yep, and we halfway to 50. So let's Let's just keep it up. All right, y'all. Uncomfy Truths. See you next time. We outie.
Peace.